All right, we should be back. Are we back? Let me ask this way. Can you guys see me? All right. Okay. Yeah. I apologize, guys. I don't know what the hell just happened there. I don't know why the internet just went apeshit, but it did. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's continue this heresy bullshit.
Widespread the use of battlesuits is within the Tau, it would honestly be more accurate to compare them to Space Marine power armor. Whereas you can actually make the argument that a Dreadnought is technically more powerful than a Crisis suit. The Crisis suits are vastly superior to a Space Marine suit of power armor in just about every way. They carry better weaponry, more advanced systems, are more upgradable.
Is more equivalent to that of Terminator armor? Oh shit.
And pound for pound more powerful. But there are a couple of situations where a Space Marine in power armor will win. First, if a Space Marine is able to get in close with something like a Thunderhammer, the Crisis suit is going to be in trouble. But even then, they're all capable of flight. So if the Space Marine's not equipped with a jump pack, it's gonna get away no problem. The major advantage that the Space Marine in power armor has nothing to do with the armor itself. It's that they have a lot more experience. You see, the average lifespan of a Tau is around 30 to 40 years, whereas a Space Marine can live for hundreds and in some cases thousands. They are veterans of countless wars, and their inconceivable amount of tactical experience is something that, although impossible to directly quantify, is incredibly beneficial in war. So just how many battlesuits did the Tau actually have? Now this is something that's kinda difficult to figure out, as there doesn't seem to be an exact number given for the total population of the Empire. In order to keep this analogy as simple as possible, we're going to stick with just the Crisis suits, as it's the suit that's known to be the most widely used. We know that supposedly there are a lot of them, and the Tau consider them to be easy to produce. The only real requirement to become a Crisis suit pilot is to serve for a period of about 4 years and then pass a test. But to get a rough estimate of the total number of them, we'll have to piece together a few different pieces of information. We know that the Tau control around 100 worlds, with the world of Sacia Prime being the largest, with an estimated population in the trillions. This planet is the Tau's closest equivalent to a hive world, but supposedly the population actually lives pretty happy lives, where all of their needs are met. There doesn't appear to be rampant death, disease, and poverty around every corner.
Does every single member of the Tau join the military though? Or do they have people that do normal things that aren't really called up? Because the Imperium, as far as I know, have entire worlds that is dedicated to military service. Every single person on that world will just be in the military. That's what they do.
Corner, like in a traditional hive city. It's also said that Sacia Prime has the largest population of fire warriors out of any Tau world. Now the 5th edition Tau Codex has an interesting depiction of your typical hunter cadre, which shows around 6 Crisis suits and 2 broadsides, compared to about 40 infantry that doesn't have a battlesuit. Considering there are likely some fluctuations in deployment types, we'll be conservative and say that 10% of a hunter cadre is made up of Crisis suits. So if we take that information and do some quick maths that are probably definitely highly inaccurate, but will still give us a rough understanding nonetheless, we take 1 trillion Tau citizens and divide that by 4 to get just how many of them are in the Firecast. Then we'll multiply the result by 0.10 to give us that 10% that are equipped with a Crisis suit. The end result is 25 billion Crisis suits on this world alone. And that's with our triple conservative example of 10% of a cadre being in a Crisis suit, the population of the world being only 1 trillion, and finally, not even taking into account that the Earth and Fire casts are supposedly much larger than the Air and Water casts. The population just says it's in the trillions for this planet. We don't have an exact number, so the number of Crisis suits on this planet alone could be 50 billion, or maybe 100 billion. It admittedly has the highest population out of any Tau planet, but still, that is an absolutely ridiculous figure when compared to the rough estimate of around 1 million Space Marines currently active in the 41st millennium, give or take a couple of non-Codex compliant chapters. Hell, even if we doubled the amount of Space Marines in power armor at 2 million, that doesn't come anywhere close to 25 billion. A lot of people will point to the Space Marines as a major advantage that the Imperium has over the Tau, that they clearly understand genetic engineering, or at least how to follow the Emperor's blueprints. But if your Empire has the ability to just mass-produce Crisis suits, what's the point? Why would you?
There is one. Okay, so this is comparing Crisis suits to Dreadnought armor. Dreadnought armor is always worn by Space Marines, no? Always. Like humans, normal humans can't wear Dreadnought armor. So here's where things get a little muddy and messy. A Space Marine isn't a normal human. It's a human that is faster, more endurance, can think a lot faster, can make decisions a lot faster. Probably this affects things like aim, reaction speed, all of it is affected by a Space Marine. Whereas the Tau, it's a normal Tau that simply wears an armor. So this is where I would say he is kind of making a mistake, because it would be like comparing the armor of a Custodes with the armor of a Space Marine. Okay? So effectively what you're saying is, if we just compare the armor, like maybe you'll get to a point where you go, well, you know, the Dreadnought armor is a lot better because it can take a lot more shocks and it can take a lot more shots, and, you know, the weapons are kind of equally matched, but it doesn't take into account who pilots that armor. The Custodes was designed from the ground up to be a superior warrior. Evil Meister, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate that. Yeah, the Tau, what I gather from the Crisis armor is that they're normal Tau that's just wearing this Crisis armor. So there is an argument to be made that a single Dreadnought armor from a Space Marine is probably going to be taking on, like, it could likely take on 100, 200 Crisis suits with very little problems, because it would be faster, it would shoot faster, it would aim faster, it would react faster, because it is just superior. Because the pilot is superior. The pilot is much better.
Waste resources on something like that. I'm gonna be honest, when I wrote this script out, it came out at 25 million, and I was sitting here like, yeah, that's a really crazy figure. That's gonna be cool. But then I very quickly redid my math and realized—
Yeah, but Growfile, wait. We're not talking about, like, where they were born into. Because this would be the equivalent of, like, if you're looking at the Imperial Guard, yes, they're born into military, you know, they fight, they sort of get sort of trained from very early on to become an Imperial Guardsman, and that's fine. But the Imperial Guardsman, would any one year ever compare an Imperial Guardsman to a Space Marine? How many Imperial Guardsmen would it take to kill a single Space Marine? Are we talking thousands? Are we talking millions? Like, just Imperial Guardsmen with their last cannons, how many of them would it take to take down a single Space Marine? A fuck ton. Because first and foremost, they would have to hit the Space Marine, who has superior reaction times, also superior aiming. So he's going to take out a lot more than what they're going to be able to take out, right? Now, the Tau, even though they have these incredible suits that's much stronger and can actually, you know, absorb a lot more power, the Tau is still normal. It's a normal Tau. This Tau that's piloting the suit wasn't designed to be superhuman or super Tau in this sense. The suit is superior, but it doesn't really matter because the person piloting it isn't superior. I
missed a couple of zeros. That Trillion actually has 12 zeros in it, and I just blew my mind in the middle of making a video. I'm very professional. Anyways, back on track. How the Tau managed to advance so quickly still remains something of a mystery, but we can be sure that one of the most major contributing factors to it is their willingness to reverse engineer alien technology or openly trade with other alien species. The first being something that admittedly has been done in the past by the Imperium, but it's insanely rare, and the second being absolutely unheard of, with the exception of a brief ceasefire or a fan-servicey team-up to fight a larger threat. We know that the Tau received their ion technology, for example, from their auxiliary race known as the Demiurge, which was also recently revealed to be a group of squats that were part of the Leagues of Votan. Through diplomacy with alien species, they in turn become much more powerful. This is not something that the Imperium is capable of. Any positive interaction that the Imperium has with Xenos are always on a very small scale that doesn't have a major impact on the Imperium by the end of the book. We don't know the full extent of just how many different species the Tau have peacefully.
But it's like, yeah, I know. This is why I said, he's comparing their crisis suits to dreadnoughts, which is why I'm just continuing the comparison, because I don't want to like change the comparison here. But considering, this is where I will agree with Grofile, considering the fact that the Tau don't have a Space Marine equivalent, the Crisis Armor, those who wear the Crisis Armor kind of would be comparable to the Dreadnoughts.
Negotiated with, or on the other end of the spectrum, how many of them they have eradicated. But we do have a confirmed list of known Tau auxiliaries. These include the Demiurge, the Damani, Galgs, the Greet, the Guvesa, which is their word for the human auxiliaries, the Hernian, the Geatrix, the Kroot, the Malkor, Morlin, Moralian, the Nikasar, the Otens Council, the Ranghan, the Tarillian, Thraxian, and the Vorg. I'll be honest, I had never heard of a couple of these, and getting through that list was a struggle. But through the magic of editing, I think it's gonna sound okay. But anyways, compare all this to the Imperium's ally count of 0 or 1, depending on if you consider the Mechanicus its own independent faction or not. It's a pretty stark difference, and this list is only going to keep growing as the Tau continue to expand. Each new ally providing viable trade routes, an influx of new and exotic resources, new technology, new strategies, and a whole bunch of other things.
Is humanity on friendly terms with the Leagues of Voltan? Or Votan?
That are super beneficial to a growing empire. Each of these new groups theoretically could create problems down the road, as all of these different factions becoming part of the Tau Empire would still have different philosophies and goals. But the lore tells us that they have all embraced and joined the greater good. Whether or not that's something that will change in the future as the Ethereal's influence becomes diminished the larger their population grows, is something that remains to be seen. But as of right now, there's no indication that that will happen. The major takeaway of this video is that by all accounts the Tau Empire is on the rise and the Imperium is falling. It's not at a breaking point yet, but they are stretched thin and under constant attack from all sides. The way they go about everything is comically inefficient, and they are not united in the same way that the Tau are. Uprisings are a near everyday occurrence, and it's been stated that the Imperial Guard fights against humans more than it fights against aliens, as neglected populations across the Imperium's million worlds are constantly either rebelling against their overlords or being corrupted by the forces of chaos. And none of this is happening with the Tau. Their populations by all accounts are happy, and more humans defect to join them every year. The Empire is rapidly expanding, whether directly through new sphere expansions.
Wait, there's fucking humans that is defecting to join them? This is where the chaos gets involved with the Tau boys. These human fucking collaborators.
Or through diplomatic negotiations that gain them valuable allies. This isn't to say that everything is going perfectly for them, or that their way of life isn't filled with its own grimdark elements, but that's a topic for another video. I'm not much of a history buff and I don't know much about economics, so I'm sure that somebody in my comment section is gonna know a lot more than me here and will help fill in the gaps. But I found a list of questions on the internet that one can ask about a nation to determine its overall power. So I'm gonna use that here and just kind of apply it to 40k. And with a lot of these questions, the Tau actually end up coming out on top. Do they have a sustainable, thriving economy? The Tau certainly do, and with the Imperium it's kind of on a planet-by-planet basis, with many planets being far richer than others. Do they have—
Yeah, but this is also, so I'm not suggesting that I'm an economic genius, but I've read enough about economics to kind of know the answer here. The one thing that the Imperium has going for it more so than the Tau is that the Imperium, for the most part, is incredibly decentralized. Every homeworld has its own currency, basically has its own economy, and while, yes, there is a lot of trade that happens between them, that trade is oftentimes not... how do I explain this? It's done in separate currencies, so if you took down a single planet in the Imperium, the other planets would probably not be affected from an economic standpoint. So a pure money by money standpoint, the other planets would not really be affected. If you took down a hive world, yes, the Imperium loses a hive world, but there are so many others that they can fall back on that it would be no great loss in the end at the end of things. If you took down an economic hub, there are more out there, and because they're not that closely connected to each other, the decentralized system poses a lot less of a threat with the loss of singular things. So here's where things get a little wild for the Tau. The Tau, everything is connected and everything is run by the, what did they call themselves? The group of overlords, effectively. What are they called again? No, not the CCP. For the Tau, the Ethereals. If you took out the planet where the Ethereals lived, what happens to the 99 planets that the Tau now own? Their leadership structure has just been completely eradicated. Right? There is no leadership structure left because everything is run from a top-down basis. So suddenly, those planets have a little bit of trouble, right? Which would be a massive setback. Whereas again, for humanity, clusters control themselves, worlds tend to control themselves within clusters. So while yes, you could go in and you could take out, say, a manufacturing planet, or maybe even like an agricultural planet, and you would fuck the cluster that relies on that manufacturing planet, or that relies on that hive world, or that relies on that agri world, but you wouldn't really affect the other clusters that don't rely on those. Because from what I've been able to gather, every cluster of stars in the Imperium have within it hive worlds, agri worlds, manufacturing worlds, things of this nature. And they don't really affect the ones next to them. That's not the kind of, so they don't, one star system doesn't necessarily travel or trade with another star system. Whereas because the Tau is so interconnected, it makes them a lot more reliable on the fundamental logistics of that society.
They have a powerful unified fighting force. Both the Imperium and the Tau get a checkmark here. The Imperium's fighting force is far larger, but it's not as unified as the Tau's. Additionally, since the Imperium is so large, they struggle to actually protect all of their worlds. This is not something that the Tau have to deal with. Happiness of the total population. Without question, this one goes to the Tau.
Yeah.
Efficient use of resources. Once again, through the use of AI and all of their technology, as well as bringing every single planet up and making it the best it can be, rather than leaving it as a medieval dump. This one's gonna go to the Tau. How present is political corruption? You could make the argument that the Ethereals may just be corrupt, but they're all kind of corrupt in the same direction, so I'm still gonna give this to the Tau. They haven't had a political piece of corruption quite on the same level as Vandire's Reign of Blood yet, so yeah. Going to the Tau.
All right,
ability to
fine.
patrol and protect its borders. The Tau Empire is a much smaller, more unified force, so they win in this department as well. Gross output per person. Because of all of the inefficiencies within the Imperium, the average Tau citizen is going to be able to output much more gross domestic product than the average Imperial citizen. Geography and size. This one, admittedly, the Imperium wins, hands down. They're much, much larger.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the Tau are a lot more successful than the Imperium in a lot of departments. And if you were to scale them up to the exact same size, then humanity would be in trouble. But what do you guys think? Do you disagree with everything I said in this video, or do you think the Tau will eventually grow to be one of the most dominant superpowers in the galaxy? Do you think the Imperium's methods are justified? Or do you think the Tau's future is not as bright and sunny as I've made it out to be? What do you think of all their AI? Will it inevitably come back to bite them, or do you think they can keep it from going haywire and prevent another machine uprising? I'm super curious to read your thoughts down in the comments section, as I'm still, admittedly, kind of working through my own on this particular subject.
I think the Tau will start running into serious trouble when they, start fighting mass-scale battles on every front, because that is usually where centralized governments tend to do really well with singular points of chaos. So, for example, say there's a singular pandemic or a singular economic downturn. Centralized governments are usually far quicker at being able to respond because they don't really give a shit about the rights or the freedoms of people. They just need to respond to this one threat, and everything will be sacrificed in order to take care of this one threat. Where centralized governments start to fall apart, and we see this pretty much in every single nation that's tried communism from a centralized standard or standpoint, it starts to fall apart when multiple problems start to affect the country. Because what ends up happening is no central authority can think through every single problem. Why? Because problem solving requires imagination. And when you have a central authority, its imagination is usually limited to the amount of people that is part of that central authority. And because it doesn't allow for a free exchange of ideas and plans, its ability to respond to any given problem at any given point is reliant on a very limited set of sort of inventative measures. This is why China did really well during the early stages of COVID, right? Why did they do so well? Well, because who gives a fuck about people's freedoms? They locked everyone in their homes. They wouldn't allow anyone to go out. People died due to hunger in their apartment buildings because they couldn't actually get out. People died of all manner of diseases because they couldn't see doctors, but it didn't matter because fuck it. We're in a pandemic. Fuck everyone, right? The problem is that those lockdowns have now led to phenomenal problems. China has a housing problem. China has an economic problem. China has a manufacturing problem. China has an international relations problem. China still has a COVID problem. And now you're starting to see the CCP run thin. They're starting to struggle to deal with all of these problems at the same time. Because you just don't, like, there's not enough heads being put together to figure out the solutions. And this is where the Tau might have a problem. When they start dealing with mass Tyranid invasions and Orc invasions and Necron invasions or Imperium invasions, will that centralized authority then still have the ability to deal with all of these threats coming in from all sides? You see, the problem that I have with comparing the Imperium to almost every other faction in the galaxy is very few factions in the galaxy deal with the problems the Imperium deals with. The Imperium literally deals with every known problem you can think of. Every known problem. They have problems with the Nids, they have problems with the Orcs, they have problems with the Chaos Gods, they have problems with their own fucking people rising up and doing shit. And despite all of that, they continue to remain a very real threat within the 40k universe. Now you compare them to the Tau, fairly new, very few problems. They don't really deal with any of the real problems that the galaxy has to offer. Of course, they're going to look good now. But what do the Tau look like when the Nids start invading? Or when the Orcs start invading? What does the Tau look like when they've had 100 years of battle non-stop? Do the Tau still look in this good, clean, crisp condition? Or do they now start to fall apart? Because remember, for a while, for at least 2,000 years, the Tau could spend all of its time innovating, coming up with new and better technologies. But once war starts, and we're talking about the kind of war that involves your entire galaxy, this will almost definitely put an incredible damper on these things, as all of their resources now goes into just defending what they already have. They can't really spend time trying to become better, because yeah, you can't take 2 years to build a better battle suit. We need the battle suits now, and we need to go with the tried and tested method because we just need them immediately. Ned's gonna eat some of their worlds alive and evolve more with their DNA. Plasma spitting Neds incoming. Jesus.
And I'm not necessarily married to any of the ideas I've presented in this video. My opinions on things are subject to change as I learn new information. Thanks for watching my video all the way through. I say this all the time, but between that, liking, and subscribing, it really does help out my channel a lot. Thanks again to all my patrons who support me over on Patreon. And I posted an update over there recently. I'm gonna be going through a pretty major restructuring of the Patreon starting in January. So look for an update on that coming soon. And with all that out of the way, I will catch y'all in the next one.
Actually make new ships. Growfall, I don't think you understand what I mean, right? When you have, where should I start? Shazar, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate that, man. And also for the follow. Oh my god. To start, I would actually say, are you talking videos or books, Shazar? Because if you're talking books and videos, it's going to be two different answers, right? Both. Okay, so for videos, I would say the first place to start is where I started. If you really want, you can literally just head over to my YouTube channel, Acco Clips, or Acco Clips. Can't remember what the fucking name is now. I could just check. Because my first ever Warhammer video is on there. But it was Acco Clips. It was Bricky's video, and Bricky breaks down all of the different factions. He does a very brief overview of all of the different factions of Warhammer 40k. You know, what they are not, strengths, weaknesses, things like that. It's not absolutely 100% lore accurate, but it's probably as accurate as it's gonna get for a video that entails all of them. From there, this man is the man that you want to go for. So we won't be watching this video, but I would say that Luton is probably the god of video game lore. And that goes for all video games in the world. The way his videos are produced, the amount of information that goes into it. Look at every single one of these videos. An hour and a half, 48 minutes, an hour and 17 minutes. It's all stupidly long videos. And it goes into so much fucking detail on every single one of these things. I would actually like get into these as soon as possible. The Emperor of Man stuff, right? For books, well, that's easy, but that's very expensive. So you want to go Horus Heresy series, and you want to get all of these books. I mean, all of them. Right? So I think currently within the Horus Heresy series, how many books is it now? Is it like 60, 70 books within the Horus series? So you want to, yeah, you want to go into the Horus Heresy series. Most of them, I think, is available on Audible, so you could just grab them. 65 books. Okay. Overall, though, I don't know where you go from there. Other than, so they do one thing that's really cool within Warhammer. So if you look at, it's like this. I have the first book. My brother borrowed it. All of the books come in series, right? So you have, for example, my first book that I started to read was The Dark Imperium. This is the second one that I'm busy with. And I have it right there at the back. So they tell you this is number 2 in a book of 3. Because at the end here, they tell you where to go next. They give you like a next read for this. I think the next one for The Dark Imperium is God something. But yeah, you can just read the different series if you want to. I don't think there's obviously going to be optimal places to start, but I'd say start with whatever you can get your hands on. Because yeah, some of the books will be very difficult to find. Godblight, that's the one, yes. That's the last one in the series. And they told me they have it, and then they didn't have it. That was really annoying, actually. Wish the Horus Heresy did that. Jumps around a bit. Yeah, I still need to read that because I have the first 3 books on audiobook. that I've decided I'm just gonna have to fucking listen to, even though I hate audiobooks. I don't have a choice. I'm gonna have to listen to the first 3 because I can't get the books. I don't know where the fuck you get them. Which is sad as shit because I would much rather have read it. I've read the first few of Gaunt's Ghosts, but Audible don't have the next in the series, so I went to Horus Heresy. Gaunt's Ghosts. I don't even know what that is. Probably because I have a little bit of Dark Imperium left, and then I'm waiting for Godblight. Fuck knows where the hell, when I'm getting Godblight. So I'll probably immediately jump to the Horus Heresy box. I will say, though, if you're new to the Warhammer universe, strap the fuck in. That's my only real advice. This universe is wild. It's disgusting. There are times where you read the books where you are generally freaked the fuck out with some of the stuff that you read. It's not for the faint of heart, right? But I will go so far as saying that it is probably one of the greatest gaming universes I have ever experienced. Ever. The shit in this universe is nuts. Is nuts. This is why I'm so excited for finally the Warhammer cinema experience. Bro. The fact that Warhammer is finally entering the cinematic universe and we're finally going to start seeing some Warhammer shows. Like, Hollywood could just shut down, right? Ravy G, how you doing, fam? Like, Hollywood can stop all of their other movies, take every director in Hollywood, every actor in Hollywood, and just make all the Warhammer. Like, even if you did that, I don't think you would ever be able to. You will never be able to cover the whole of the universe. There's just too much. It seems like a nice day, Ravy G. Me, just streaming, hanging out. What would you like to see explored first in the film series? Honestly, I think they should explore the Horus Rising. I think this series should start at the beginning. Like, they could probably do a Man of Iron or Man of Gold one, right? Ezra Miller as a Primarch? Dude, no, fuck that. Let's not get into that. Let's imagine it was good Hollywood, not bad Hollywood, right? I don't know. I would... Fuck, where do you start? You see, the reason I'm not entirely sure about where to start is I'm fearful that they start and suffer the same consequences as the World of Warcraft movie. Because the World of Warcraft movie started in the wrong spot. It started at the place where, yes, this is where the great conflict between the Horde and the Alliance happened. But for anyone that doesn't know the history of Warcraft, they would have no idea who the Horde is, no idea who the Alliance is, or at least the orcs and the humans at this point. They wouldn't know why they would have to care about the orcs at all. They would have no reason to really care about the Alliance, other than the fact the Alliance are fellow humans. None of it made sense. Who's Gul'dan? Who does he serve? Who are these demon people that they're talking about? It started at what seemed to be the right place as a fellow gamer. So if you're a WoW player, it started at the right place for you because it was one of the parts that we would have enjoyed seeing. But as a universe, for someone who doesn't play the game at all and maybe doesn't know the game, you were lost watching it. Like, absolutely fucking lost watching it. And that's what I fear with Warhammer 40k? Like, what exactly... How exactly do they... How do they solve that issue? Does anyone have any ideas? Minuar uploaded his first video on the Clips channel, boys. Oh, shit. Bro. Not bad in viewership times. Fuck. Not bad at all. Actually, thumbnail looks fucking brilliant. Dude, I gotta hand it to you. I'm quite surprised at this. Look at that. That thumbnail looks good, no? You can add playlists. So Minuar, the only advice I would give for you here is playlists is always a good idea, but playlists do not have to be added immediately. They're a good idea to just sort of get people onto the next ones, because usually when it's a Warhammer 40k video that they watch, sometimes YouTube will suggest the next video in the playlist. So you could probably add like just the Warhammer one there, make your own if you want. Let's see the rest of this. Oh, you actually fucking worked on tags. I would not spend too much time on tags. Like, obviously, if you want to, you're more than welcome to do so. But these tags are only good for Google. They don't really do shit for YouTube discoverability. And then I would add a game, probably. Like, usually the game that I would add here is... like, you don't have to, but it does work. Like, adding, like, Warhammer Dark Tide, because currently it's really in supply. Or in demand, so... adding, like, a game title here usually works a little. Even if it doesn't fit, as long as it's, like, one of the games, it doesn't really matter. But again, doesn't really do anything for discoverability, so... I'm just gonna undo these changes, because you can run it the way that you want. I do think viewership-wise, you're doing very well. I might have a little bit of let's see. I think your thumbnail is already very good. Like, your thumbnail is clearly good. People are clicking on it, which is always a good thing. YouTube's being full of shit. Come on, YouTube. Fuck me. Just load. God, I hate when YouTube is like this. No, the thumbnail. Why would the thumbnail need women? Is it about women? Oh, for the love of all things that's good and fucking holy. YouTube, fix your shit, please. Let me go pee quickly and then we'll check this out. Like, this is bullshit, but I'll be right back. back, boys. There are ads, and when I watched it on my phone, I had them. No, there are ads. This is YouTube being full of shit. Don't worry about it. This is YouTube. It fucking does this from time to time where it just goes nuts. Valen, how you doing, fam? There we go. For fuck's sake, YouTube. Oh, my God. Okay, there we go. Let me just see something here. Yeah, this is good. Minoir, the only thing that I would say, always focus on, make sure that there is an ad space. So basically make sure that there is an ad space in the first 3 minutes of the video. Then another one in the first, like, 5.5 minutes of the video. And another one in the first 10 minutes of the video. YouTube is not going to provide ads for all of those slots. So no one that's watching that video will see 3 ads in the first 10 minutes. Almost no one. It's fucking barely impossible. It's barely possible that that will happen. But it does mean that anyone that fucking watches it will at least get 1 ad in the first 10 minutes. Or at least most people should at least get 1 ad in the first 10 minutes. And that's really all you care about. And also by telling YouTube that this is where they're allowed to put ads, it means that it's not being put in places where it will interrupt everyone else from being able to actually just see shit, right? Whereas if you let YouTube do it, believe me, that's not good. The YouTube bot will sometimes put ads in the stupidest fucking places you can imagine. And never trust the YouTube thing to suggest the ads, because I've seen YouTube suggest ad 2 minutes later, ad 2 minutes later, ad 2 minutes later, ad. This entire thing is just full of ads. That's bullshit. That's nuts. So yeah, I think that's a good one. Let's quickly see what this video sounds like. Every single guardsman regiment explained by an Australian, number 1. All right. Let's see this. This is Metal Fan literally asked for this video. What was it? Like 5 hours ago? 6 hours ago at this point, Metal Fan? And 6 hours later, here we are.
G'day, guys and gal.
I told you I will watch it,
In a
right?
setting full of roided up super soldiers, space bugs of death, blue communists with suspicious orifices on their heads, and big titty Eldar girlfriends, it truly warms my heart to see so much love given.
So, if, wait, where the hell? Why am I not hearing? What the fuck? Alright. Can you guys hear me fine? Yeah, okay. If I could give you some advice, the first thing would be, I think the sound can be a little bit higher. Like, what? How many dBs did you add in edit? Minoir. I usually add like 4 dBs. Yeah, usually like 4 dBs is a good amount of ad. It gets the video just sort of loud enough that most people will not complain, because I guarantee you if the video is even a little too fucking quiet, the complaints will fucking flow in. The people will just immediately go, oh my god, what the fuck, dude, I can't hear anything. This is so quiet, what the hell, dude. So it's kind of nuts. So I would say, yeah, turn it up maybe a little. Although, if you're doing 4 already, leave it at that. That's perfectly fine. What else? Oh, yes. This is actually a big one. Minoir, are you here? Or am I giving you advice that you're not that you're not hearing? I lowered the dB a bit since it was hitting the red in the mixer constantly, but good to know. Yeah, I mean, look at the mixer. If it is too high, that's fine. Usually it isn't, but I mean, it's not my job to worry about that anymore, so you get it just right to where you want it, and I'm happy with that. The one thing that I will give advice on, this will be your best fucking friend. And it sucks, but it is. In engagement, right? Is it engagement or is it audience? See, it's not going to show it right now. We're going to have to go to a different video. Hold up. Let's quickly get a different video here. when YouTube does this, I want to start crying my eyes out. Okay, let's look at this. Actually, let's go look at one of the videos that performed really well lately. So this one, right? Analytics. Won't be reach. I think it's engagement, although I might be. Here we go. So if you look at engagement, right? So in every video, this is going to be the place that you. So the first place you want to really focus on is reach, and specifically this number. This is like your most important number. If you want to compare videos to one another, impressions click-through rate is everything, because it will tell you how many people actually see it and then click on it. The fact that it's held up this well throughout the, like, literally what, almost 2 weeks that it's been live for, more than 2 weeks. The fact that it's still at 3.3% is actually pretty fucking good. But then the next one, which I would actually say is probably more important than even reach, is this one. So this number is everything. And this is the one number that I could never spend time on because it happens to be the one number that requires editing. 10% click-through rates is probably the best. That's up there with Logan Paul and those guys, Sebi. Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, they'll have anywhere from 10 to 15% click-through rate. Like, that's when you can nail it. If you get 10 to 15% click-through rate, you should be sporting videos with millions of views. Easy. It means that 10% of everyone that you're fucking, like, everyone that sees your video is clicking on it. That's nuts. That's very high. Your best content creators usually get that. The guys has really nailed it. This is where, like, this one, as you can see here, so you have 94%, you have 100% obviously from minute 0, right? So everyone that clicked on the video. It drops down to 65% within the first 13 seconds. This means that within the first 13 seconds, something obviously happened. There was a massive drop within the first 13 seconds. Why did this happen? Within the first 27 minutes, there was an even bigger drop, right? So you have to start asking yourself, okay, wait a second. Why exactly did this drop take place? So this is where you have to go into it and sort of listen to the video at the start, try and figure out why people weren't watching it. You know, why did they click off this dip? You're going to want to focus on what could I put there. So an easy sort of schmas tactic that does work if you have the time for it. Look through the video, right? As you're editing it, you'll find cool moments of reactions to stuff. So say, for example, a moment where I'm explaining something and I'm sort of going, oh my God, what the fuck, dude? This was huge. You cut that out, right? And then you cut like 3 or 4 other moments like that out. You put that in the beginning of the video with a text that says later in the video or whatever the fucking case might be. But you put like a trailer of what they can expect later in the video. And then GG. My vid was limited. Ads. So there's a weird... Sebi, which video did you have that got you 10% click-through rate? Because I've had videos that would get... It's called WoW as a DJ as DJing as Final Fantasy 14. Nice. Wait, why did they limited ads you? I don't understand. Why would they limited ads that? Yeah, that's fucking YouTube for you. This video is limited, right? This video is limited. This video, I had to go back because I couldn't get this video, the original one, the troll. You guys remember this, right? I made a video about Trazen, Warhammer 40k troll. We went through the entire video, me and chat. I swore in that video maybe 4 or 5 times. I said fuck, and I said cunt once. Just once, I said cunt, okay? In the entirety of the video. YouTube demonetized it. They said limited ads, fuck you. Nightlight, thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. So YouTube said, fuck you, you can't monetize this. I then went out, yeah, and I filed a complaint. So I said, no, I don't agree with this. What do you call it again? I asked for a review. So I said, that's not, like, I don't think that this video should be limited ads. An employee of YouTube watched the video and confirmed, no ads will be played on this video. I then do it again, right? So this time I go onto Twitter and I tell the YouTube support guys, listen here, this is a normal fucking video about Warhammer 40k. I say the word fuck once in the first 7 minutes. Why the hell would you demonetize my video and say that I'm swearing constantly in the video if I literally said the word fuck once in the video? 42 people watched the video. 42. And it again gets confirmed as, nope, you're still not allowed to monetize it. Me and chat then go, and I go through the entire video. I silence every single swear word. Every one of them. Silence it. Silence it. Silence it. Fucking bullshit. I re-upload the video. It's fine. It's not getting limited ads. It's all good. 2 days ago, YouTube demonetizes the video. 2 days ago. I uploaded this video on the 21st of December. 2 days ago, on the 1st of January, I get an email from YouTube, or 2nd of January. No, it was the 1st, actually. So 3 days ago. I get an email from YouTube saying this video has been deemed not suitable for all advertisers. This one, there's no swearing in it. There's nothing. Everything's been fucking removed, right? Everything. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what could I have done differently? There's nothing in this video. I don't speak about anything. I don't say anything. There's nothing bad in this video. Why would you demonetize this? So I had to apply again and be like, look, I don't agree with this. Why? Why are you doing this? And now I see that they've allowed it again. They're like, okay, never mind. Enjoy your stream, and I hope you had a great start. But 2023. Well, Max Lai, how you doing, bro? Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. It's so epic. It's like watching porn. Probably, bro. Yeah, Baka, you can't swear at all now in the first 8 seconds of a video. YouTube changed their TOS and didn't tell anyone. It's not just the first 8 seconds. They wouldn't monetize my video, and I didn't swear in the first 7 minutes. It shits me that demonetized vids gets nuked in the algorithm too. I'm fine with a vid not making money, but nuking it in the algo sucks. Yeah, YouTube claims that the algo isn't affected at all. That's what YouTube claims. I don't know why anyone would believe that, if I'm honest with you. Why would anyone believe that? For me to look out for, I'm about to go for dinner with my family. I don't want to miss anything. No, bro. I think you're doing a bang up job on the first one. So enjoy dinner, man. Yeah, I mean, just based on logic, of course, YouTube is going to nuke it in the algo, right? Why wouldn't they? YouTube is a business. They want to make money. The only way YouTube makes money is if they have videos that people watch that is monetized, because serving ads is how YouTube makes its money. If they have a video that isn't monetized, that is taking attention from people that could be watching videos that obviously is monetized, YouTube is losing money because they have a video that doesn't have ads that somehow everyone's watching. So just based on that, YouTube absolutely limits the reach of a video. Absolutely. About this, it is even material, not just language getting demonetized. Look, I think YouTube is losing their shit. I think YouTube is losing it's losing its mind, is what I think. Well, Max Lie, I would play DF if I was you. It's very fun. Super fun right now. At least I'm enjoying the shit out of it. Can't lose what you've already lost long ago. It's worse now, Metal Fan. YouTube has gone from doing things that I could understand, at least. Like, I could always understand YouTube's position, right? They want to make advertisers happy, and this means that they really don't want people to just swear and fucking say, like, the weirdest shit ever, right? The hell is this? Huge update on Twitch drama. I think we shall watch this. I read drama. I'm okay with that. We shall watch this in a second. It's about Miskiff being back in Rich Campbell drama. Yeah, well, we'll watch it still, you know? It's always interesting to see. What was I talking about before I saw the drama? We were talking about something, and I can't fucking remember what it was. Oh yeah, YouTube is just they've gone from at least I could understand why they were doing things to now they're in this space where none of it makes sense. Like, just none of it makes sense. They don't want any swearing of any kind. They don't allow any conversation that might be a little controversial, even if it's a conversation that is perfectly fine to be had. No one is really going to feel offended by this conversation. It's just a conversation. They don't allow it. All you're allowed to do on YouTube now is effectively talk about hyper safe shit. Like, we've had conversations on this channel about dating that YouTube have deemed to be not suitable for all audiences because we're talking about dating. So I do think that YouTube is losing the fucking plot, like, massively. I don't know what's gonna happen to them, but I do think they're losing the plot. Abaddon, I'm not even talking about DJing shit. I'm talking about normal conversations that we've had where no one was being degenerate. And it was still just like, fuck. I need to upload to XTube. We could probably.
Happy New Year. New Year means new goals, and maybe one of your goals this year is to burn as much money as possible. And I have a great solution for you. It's called esports. If you don't know, pretty much every single esports organization is vastly overvalued because they're all subsidized by venture capitalist groups that are probably going to get fed up in 3 to 5 years when none of them are profitable, or crypto exchanges. And we know what's happening with crypto exchanges.
Actually, that's not entirely true. So there are actually a lot of esports organizations that is making some money. Not crazy money, but some. Most of the time, though, what these companies have found is that the answer lies with content creators. So that's why you'll see G2 have like a bunch of streamers that work for G2. And G2 gets a cut because, you know, G2 promotes them and they get to be part of G2's content creation machine. But this is usually where they make most of their money. There are some that do NFT and crypto and shit like that, but I would say those are usually the more YouTube scamas esports organizations. You know, like your Team FaZe and those things, which they're a scam. They're there for someone to make quick money. It has nothing to do with actually trying to be an esports organization.
Let's just take a look at the Forbes top 10 most valuable esports companies. At the top, you can see TSM, 100 Thieves, Liquid, and FaZe Clan. Well, let's just take a look at TSM. How are they doing? Oh, they had a deal with FTX that got suspended. It was worth $210 million. Okay, that's all right. Well, how about 100 Thieves? They've laid off a bunch of people. Okay, well, you got to reduce overhead sometimes. Okay, what about Liquid? Oh, a deal with Coinbase for 4 years. Surely that will last. And finally, FaZe Clan. Okay, publicly traded company valued at 134 million. Wait, 400 million, 100. Okay, that dropped. Oh, that dropped really fast. Okay, well, that's that.
I wonder, because all of those are American. All of them are American. I don't know if this is necessarily true for the European esports organizations. I don't know everything about them, but I'm pretty sure Fnatic doesn't have any crypto partnerships. G2? I don't know. Let's see. I have a crypto partnership. And Bondly partnered to launch Team's first NFT. Never mind. Never fucking mind. It seems they have, yeah. 2021. Develop and launch G2's NFT strategy and platform. Okay, never mind. They have one. Yep. Okay. So G2 has one. Fnatic is probably going to have one as well. We can check, but I'm pretty sure they're going to have one too. Although this was in 2021, and I'm pretty sure G2 was already profitable before this. So this might just be them trying to investment in partnership with Hivemind. So they're going with crypto.com, 11 million pounds. Yeah, so they're all, see, this is, again, I don't know if they were profitable before. I know Fnatic is one of the more stingy esports organizations out there, but it is probably, yeah, okay. So most of them are probably scumbags.
That's, look, not me just trying to make fun of esports orgs, because I like esports, and I like anyone who takes an attempt at making it work. It just doesn't seem like the economics of it match the ambitions of a lot of the people inside of the sphere.
It's easy to understand why. Let's take the Overwatch League. Blizzard charged these teams that wanted to be part of the Overwatch League, I believe $20 million for a spot in the Overwatch League. And then there's yearly fees that goes with that, right? Then you also have the fees that go into getting a gaming house, getting coaches, getting support staff. Players needs to be paid because they're professional athletes now. But then most of these places have one competition and very little viewership. And also, they don't have TV deals. We're not talking about something like the NFL. The NFL has a TV deal, right? Which probably pays them billions of dollars every single year in order to show the games. All of these esports are showcased on YouTube and Twitch. Now, YouTube just signed a deal with Blizzard for all of its esports. So Blizzard at least have that deal with YouTube. And then, of course, they have a shit ton of sponsors. But it's not the league that pays the players. It's the teams that pay the players. And the teams effectively rely on marketing. They rely on sponsors. That's where most of their money comes from. So for big, good teams, they can probably make some money. But most of the time, I think their expenses are barely covered by the sponsorships that they have. Because some of these players are paid ridiculous sums of cash.
What does work, however? Content teams, influencers, signing content creators, which a lot of esports orgs do, and that seems to be the profitable part of their business. And it's also what some content teams do. I mean, take offline TV, for example. You put all these people in a room, they print out multiple million view videos that they can sell giant sponsors on. I mean, pretty much every one of their videos has a sponsor, and they're getting buku bucks for that with pretty low overhead because they each have their own individual careers. Now, imagine you could combine the content team of OTV with maybe the more rigid structure of an esports org, and you end up with something like OTK, One True King, a streamer-backed esports org
Sloan, how you
that
doing,
doesn't
fam?
really do esports. I mean, they had a team in World of Warcraft, but they dropped the team, so they're pretty much just sticking with the good old-fashioned content creator route, which is smart because they're not only able to sell sponsors on the watch hours of all the people inside the org, they're also able to sell things directly to consumers with businesses they start, like Starforge Systems. I mean, imagine if I had swipe bidets and then I had a team of 10 creators that I worked with all the time, and they all sold swipe bidets individually. We'd get a lot of buttholes clean in the new year. So it makes sense. And don't just take my word for it. Let's look at the most popular Twitch teams by hours watched. Obviously, G4
Wow,
at the top
OTK
with
is
671
exploding.
creators.
Fuck.
XQC's org, he's up top there. Loaded, they have a bunch of big creators. And OTK is fourth. They're fourth with only 14 people, and a couple of their creators barely streamed over the past year for reasons we're going to get into. Now, I haven't made any videos about OTK because, well, none of the individual pieces felt substantial enough to talk about for longer than a couple of minutes. But enough has happened over the past year, and especially with the update last night that ended the investigation on Mizkif, that I feel like we can talk about it all today. Now, we're going to get to the investigation with Mizkif at the end, but first, let's do things in order with what started off their terrible month of December, and it involves another one of their founders, Rich Campbell.
Yeah.
Now, Rich Campbell, if you don't know, is a esports host turned streamer who did a lot of maybe the more business side of things behind OTK, and one of the people that he used to be in a relationship with, Lexi, on Twitter, dropped a tweet longer about a terrible experience she had with Rich. And I really recommend you read this on your own because I think it states how she feels about it more clearly and everything that happened more clearly. But I'm going to read you two excerpts. I'm not here to sleep with you, and I do not want that. That is Lexi to Rich Campbell when they were hanging out at Rich's place. And then Rich replied, by jerking off in front of her while continuing to talk about her getting pregnant and then begging her to have sex with him. After she said no, he continually attempted to take her clothes off. She kept saying no, and at the very end, he rolled her over.
I remember going
and
through
put
this. This was
himself
wild.
inside of her and finished unprotected. That was hard to read, but it is a clear picture of sexual assault, rape, just outright. Now, Rich hasn't replied to this yet, but there were a lot of text messages that backed up them being together at that exact moment, him asking her to come over, etc., and it ended off with a text from him to her.
Synonymous, I agree with you there. Thanks for the first time chat also, by the way. Welcome. I agree with you. At first, I was sort of already convinced, but that was more of a what the energy that he gives off, right? My impressions of him, I was kind of convinced that this is something that I can see happen. And then his initial response to, I'm going to take a few days and then I'm going to tell you guys what I think. I was like, all right, cool. And then when he didn't do it the next day, I was already like, that's weird. And now we're at a point where it's like, okay, this is very weird. This is very weird. Not speaking up. For anyone that's saying, oh yeah, lawyer's advice. If you're getting a lawyer to fight this, you will absolutely tweet out and say, guys, I can't say anything right now, but I have sought legal advice and I am taking this to court, right? You'll at least let your people know that you won't tell them you're innocent. You will let them know that, listen here, I'm taking this to court. So all of us can then read this and go, oh, wow, he clearly believes himself innocent if he's willing to fight this all the way to court. The fact that he's quiet about it suggests to me that he doesn't have... I think he's just hoping that this eventually goes away. This just goes silent. And then, of course, the other thing that convinced me was Asmongold's sort of response to all of the things that happened. Asmongold, in my mind, is an incredibly balanced and fair person. I've never seen Asmongold throw people under the bus. He has always been the voice of reason. He's almost always been the guy that goes, guys, innocent and proven guilty. Fuck, right? Don't judge the girl. Don't call her a liar, because that's not you waiting for, evidence. That's you already picking a side. But let's wait and see what actually happens here. Asmongold's immediate response was to first call his audience out for telling this girl that she's a liar, saying that you do not support us when you do this. And then he says, very ominously, he says, I know a few things that I can't make public now, but we've decided to ask Rich to step down. I'm paraphrasing, right? But effectively it goes in that order. He knows things that we do not know. So clearly there were conversations that happened behind the scenes that we are not privy to. And based on the information that OTK had, Asmongold decided to throw his own friend under the bus. Because that's 100% under the bus. Your organization asks you to step down. It means that they have a reasonable at least they have a reasonable suspicion that you are guilty, and they want to disassociate with you as quickly as fucking possible. Because otherwise, why would they? Right? Now, for any other company, I would still be in the sort of they may just have done this to avoid bad press, but this is Asmongold. Asmongold would not allow this to happen. Asmongold would not have allowed this to happen because Asmongold isn't, I don't think he's stupid enough to think that this is anything other than them publicly admitting that Rich is guilty. Because that's what it is. When Asmongold came out and said, I've seen a few things that you guys are not privy to, and we've asked Rich to step down, that was OTK telling the world Rich is guilty. It doesn't matter if that's what they meant to do, that is how everyone perceived it in that moment. And since I don't see Asmongold as a guy that would choose money over friends, because he literally doesn't choose money for anything else, I think if Asmongold had any sort of inkling of a belief that Rich wasn't guilty of this, they would have played this differently. They would have suspended Rich. They would have probably said that Rich is going to be suspended for a time. They wouldn't have told us that Rich is stepping down. He's stepping away from, like, he's completely been removed from OTK. This is a whole different story, right? Because suspension is one thing. Suspension is we suspend you because we're trying to ascertain whether or not this is true. They told him to step the fuck down.
Her right after it ended with the same timeline saying, you okay? So I believe the account. You can wait for Rich Campbell's statement, which hasn't come out yet, but it's pretty clear that OTK also believes the statement, or at least is concerned enough about it that they instantly, and I mean instantly, dropped him. Within like hours of the statement coming out, he was booted from OTK, which is big. I mean, he's one of the founders of it, and they kicked him out. So that was a terrible thing to happen. But the next week, the troubles didn't end for OTK as a whole because they lost a huge part of their organization, Jay Schlatt. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you the value that Jay Schlatt has on the YouTube algorithm. He's one of my most viewed videos on pretty much every single one of my channels, and he's part of the reason why Mogul Mail even exists today, because the Weekly Slap is what inspired the original.
Why?
And he mutually agreed to leave OTK. Now, it might not seem like a big hit because, you know, he's not much of a streamer. He doesn't stream too often, so many people didn't even know he was in OTK. But if you look at OTK's YouTube channel, that has almost 600,000 subscribers, that was built by Jay Schlatt. Let's just take a look at the top 10 most viewed videos. 9 of them are involving Jay Schlatt. He's like 13 of the top 15. He is OTK YouTube, and I think that's a big thing to lose. And then the week after that, which was actually just last night, we finally got the end to the investigation on Mizkif over the alleged sexual assault cover-up involving his best friend at the time, Crazy Slick. And now, if you don't know, this was basically a third-party law firm that OTK hired to investigate.
I would like to sort of throw out here, while I absolutely thought that Mizkif was being a fucking moron and a scumbag for wanting to protect his friend, even after all of this shit started to come out, right? And even after he kind of knew that Crazy Slick had done this shit, he was still very concerned about this being his friend. I don't think I agree with how Mizkif was handled. Mizkif didn't do anything wrong. He didn't assault anyone. He didn't touch anyone. He wasn't the one that did it. Yes, he was trying to protect his friend, and that was fucking stupid. But it wasn't criminal. It wasn't illegal. It wasn't even vaguely pushing up against criminality. He wasn't threatening the girl with bullshit. At least none of the evidence we've seen suggested that. So I don't necessarily mind the fact that Mizkif is back in OTK.
Mizkif, to which a lot of people, I think, understandably were upset about. They're like, okay, well, aren't you just investigating yourself? But who is supposed to do the investigation? If there were no charges filed by the police and they aren't doing an investigation, it's not like someone's going to magically get up and do it. You kind of have to hire someone to try to absolve yourself. But even if we just ignore the entirety in the investigation, I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of the allegations made in the original tweet by Trainwreck were outright false. I covered this in a video I made yesterday called I Lied, but if we just go over it one more time again, there was no blackmail. Not an iota of blackmail was seen. When Train said, "Are you going to send Maya and Mitch to cover up sexual assault?" Maya said on a stream that she would have gone on her own volition. And then as far as the one thing that did age really poorly and that was pretty bad of Mizkif, aka this clip. Well, let's just play my reaction here.
Single person that we used to hang out with that doesn't hang out with Slick anymore because of what happened. I actually think there's literally none. Because the reality is, worst comes to worst of it, it's fucking like sexual harassment, right?
Prometheus, how you doing, bro?
I mean, no one of what you can deem of it, it's sexual harassment, whatever.
Now, this was a clip from Miz that was on his alt stream that didn't sound so nice in the moment, and this is what I said about it.
At a low scale, it's not really a big deal. I don't think people really gave a shit.
This is Miz speaking way too candidly and way too stupidly about sexual assault, saying it's low scale, like there's a tier list that we have to drop every year on what sexual assault we need to rank S tier, what sexual assault we need to rank F tier.
And I lambasted him a bit for that comment because it was, pertaining to sexual assault, which is like a big deal. But I was wrong. He wasn't talking about sexual assault at the time. It was only known that Crazy Slick, his roommate at the time, sexually harassed Adriana. That's based off her words. Listen to this.
I've only
The fuck inception is this?
figured out.
Like, this is some wild inception, bro. Is he watching himself? Yeah, he's watching himself, watching other people. This is some wild shit, bro. This is when you've reached the end of YouTube, and now you're just starting to react to a whole list of new things. You're reacting to people, reacting to people, reacting to you, reacting to people. It's fucking amazing.
Out and found out, especially without sitting, that it's sexual assault.
So I feel like that covers it. I'm just playing that clip again because it is totally coincidental that I happened to upload that video yesterday or 2 days ago, and then they did this announcement yesterday. Obviously, I have no clue that this was coming. Otherwise, it would have been great to just wait a day, and that would have covered it. But yes, rehashing a lot of the original claims of Mizkif covering up sexual assault don't seem to be true. What is true, and what OTK did punish him for, were his actions on his comeback stream October 11th, which demonstrated a lack of empathy and ignorance towards the seriousness of the situation. Now, I never made a video about this. I never really talked about this, so a lot of you might not know. But after the initial apology that Mizkif made on Twitter, he kind of went radio silent for a while. He didn't stream for a long time, and then he suddenly was like, "I'm going to come back and I'm going to stream." Fine, that's up to him. You know, the investigation wasn't over. It was going a while. He missed streaming, but his comeback stream was, to put it lightly, embarrassing. It started with an hour of him basically stalling because Hassan and XQC were both reacting to him to try to see what he was going to say about the investigation or what he was going to say about the entire situation. And Mizkif, in response to this, played Super Mario 64 and said, "I'm going to keep playing until you guys stop watching me." And they didn't. So then he eventually ponied up, and then he said, "I have no news," which by itself would just be like, kind of embarrassing. But then he also had this moment, which was really just dumb.
No matter what, dude, one of my things.
Now, this is a tattoo artist who talks about how good he is at cover-ups, specifically with bad tattoos.
I am a master at cover-ups and reconstruction.
Me too, for 4 years.
Excuse me?
I think this will not look good like this.
That's tough. He also pulled up this video of sexual harassment is illegal.
That was a stupid joke.
It was just kind of tone deaf. I don't think he had a plan going into this stream. And although it doesn't seem like anything involving a sexual assault cover-up was true, it is true that he made an inappropriate joke about sexual harassment and that he had some unsavory clips and like random calls and generally I just don't think handled it as well as he could have or should have.
But I would call that. I mean, he's making jokes that no one finds funny, but they're still jokes. I mean, I'm not going to crucify a guy for making jokes. I'm sorry. But if we're going to stop policing jokes, we have a fucking problem. Like, that's going to take a while. Because where do we start? Because a joke can be a joke for one person and an insult for another. So what do we do there? Do we toss a coin and hope? Is it tone deaf? Is it kind of stupid to say? Sure. But Miskiff have said plenty of stupid shit in his life. So it in many ways it's in fucking character, right? I think that clip is going to come back and bite him in the ass. Oh yeah, probably. Probably.
Pretty clear that my boy Stans had the better path of what you should do in that position.
And you just go, hey, chat, I've been gone for 3 weeks thinking about everything that's happened. There's an investigation going on, so I can't say anything about it. I hope to give you guys the truth, but in the meantime, I am out of OTK on whatever. I'm going to be streaming like normal so I can make money to pay my rent for the next after this, but today I'm going to leave. I hope I can share more information with you soon. And then you turn off stream. That's it. Literally, that's it.
Super mature. Stan's a smart guy. He's someone who I go to.
I would say the best way to be in any scenario where you are the center of attention or adjacent to the center of attention is to just be honest. The first human response is always to lie, right? It's always to try and take the heat off yourself. It's to either pretend like it's not happening, which is just a lie by omission in any other way. The only way that you can handle things like this is be honest. Pony up to it, just be like, yeah, it is what it is. There's this cool story. I can't remember who the guy is called. He has it's the guy from Barstool Sports or some shit like that. I can't remember what the company is called. He does these videos. I think it's him. He does these videos where he rates pizza, like throughout America or some shit like that. But there was this controversy, right, where a girl came out and accused him of basically sexual depravity, right? He was incredibly rough with her and like super BDSM shit, like just seriously rough. And so this was a big drama thing. And he legitimately came out. He showed all of the DMs where he fucking told her straight up, look, I like it rough. I like it hard. I like the pain. So if you're not up for this, fucking tell me now. Because if we're going to meet up, I'm going to fucking spank you. I'm going to fucking be rough. This is just how it is. And he came out and he was just like, yeah, I like it rough. I like fucking. It has to be hard. It has to be in your face. I told her this and she said it's fine. And bam. That's the end of it, right? So yeah, I did these things. Guess what happened? Nothing. Once he came out with it, and he just said, "Yep, this is what I like." I like taking it up the ass. Everyone, I don't think that's what he said, but I'm saying, everyone was just like, "Oh, well, fuck." There's no drama yet, right? The problem with lying is that most people know that you're lying, or at least they have an inclination of you lying. And then it gets worse and worse over time because either, one, you immediately admit that you lied, which upsets your audience even more because you questioned their own intelligence, or you keep going and now you just make it worse because you're now lying for longer and longer and longer, and eventually the truth comes out, and now your audience is seriously pissed at you. The best thing you can do, no matter how fucking bad it is just go, yep, I did it, guys. I did it. I saw her feet and I came all over them. I'm sorry, I have a foot fetish. This is just life, You just admit it and move on and hope your audience accepts that. If they don't, they fucking leave and that's it. But at least you didn't lie to them, right? At least you didn't pretend like one thing was going on when another thing was going on. So yeah.
For a lot of the things that I need to do. In response, again, to Miz acting inappropriately during this stream and in the wake of all the drama, OTK has decided to remove his board duties effective immediately and place him on monitored probation, which is basically just them saying, hey, we're going to punish him because we acknowledge that it was bad, but we're not going to kick him off. And I think, honestly, if Mizkif wasn't such an important piece of OTK for the first year and a half of its creation, I mean, every big stream was on his channel. He was really carrying the org on the live stream front. He probably would have been kicked off. Straight up. If he wasn't that valuable, they probably would have booted him for just how he handled it. Because if there's a clear goal with OTK here, and it is to remove the bad connotations for the bad things that have happened with some of the org's founders from the org's like idea in public conscious, but basically trying to clean up their image, right? To put it simply. But I'm going to make a prediction right here, because although it's been hell of a year and an even worse month. I think OTK has a bright future. And it's not because of Mizkif. It's not because the other streamers on it, but it's because the people running it. Now, I know Tips. I know he's a good dude, and he's someone who came in clutch for me when I was running my Smash event and my chess boxing event by helping out, by sponsoring with Starforge. And I know he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a smart guy, and I think he'll take the org good places. And he's joined by Zach Diaz, another guy who I know is a super good dude who worked at TikTok and Twitch. So barring any other drama and barring these
I would
two
actually
guys
say
leaving the org,
I would actually add Asmongold to that list. The thing is, Asmongold has a connection to the general public that I don't think many streamers have. Like, there's plenty of streamers that stream behind this, I'm real, you know, and this is just the real shit. And if you can't handle it, get the fuck out kind of thing. There's not very many streamers that can pull it off the way that Asmongold has. Most people that watch Asmongold love the fact that he is real. That's what it is, right? What you see is what you get. He's just that guy. And I kind of feel like Asmongold can be in that as well because he brings that human element, that human connection, that you otherwise wouldn't have with many of the other orgs. If you go through the other orgs and you look at some of the people associated with it, it's just not something that you don't believe it automatically. I can't speak to Esvand, even though I know a lot of people love Esvand for the same reason. I've not watched Esvand's streams enough to really say, right, whether or not he falls into that category. But from what you guys have told me, Esvand falls into the same category. So maybe we can say Esvand and Asmongold have this connection to the general public that very few streamers manage.
I think OTK will probably stick around, although they will always have a bit of a stained reputation with some, and that's just a battle that time will defeat. And that's about it. I think that covers pretty much everything. Let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching. All right, subscribe. All right, see you later. Goodbye. That's pretty much it. That happened with OTK. Don't start an esports org. And honestly, content teams, there's a risk in working with a lot of people because you have to count on those people to be good people. But you never know who's a good person. I could be a bad person. Don't trust anyone.
I would say the problem that I have, Monguku, how you doing, bro? The problem that I have with the content teams that you see, and the reason I would never be part of a content team, I don't trust streamers. Like, at all. I do not trust streamers one fucking bit. The problem with modern day content society is that everything is content. These young people, because let's be honest, most of them are younger. Some of them in their 30s, which is still probably, you know, I'm still considered young, but I think because I grew up in South Africa, not with the internet around me for a very large chunk of my life, I don't have this, right? So I don't view the world as a content first thing. In fact, there are so many times where I'll be out and about doing something, and then when I get home, I'll be like, fuck, I should have recorded that. That would have been really cool, because I don't think about everything as content. I have to remind myself usually, wait, I should probably make some content here. For a lot of these people, everything is content, including relationships. Relationships is just the content. And there's a guarantee there that they will fuck you over if it means content, no matter what it is. What if they're sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends? Well, that's always the sign of a good person, Sebi, I think. Like, Raid Shadow Legends, really, they're very selective over who they sponsor, right? Like, they only sponsor the based people. So I would say anyone that is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends is a trustworthy human being, right? It's someone that you can trust. You can rely on that person. In a life or death situation, they are going to come through for you. Mainly because they're not actually playing Raid Shadow Legends, because it plays itself, right? So if you phone them, they don't have to be like, oh, I'm in a game. It's fine. They can come help you, and the game will it will still be playing itself, so it's all good. So I think people, yeah, people that do Raid Shadow Legends, they're like golden, you know. Most end up streaming because they're self-absorbed, selfish, self-seekers. True. I would go so far as to say that the majority of, not the majority, that's probably, but a lot of streamers, I would say probably narcissistic, very narcissistic, and possibly a little sociopathic. Not quite, but definitely on that, like, fucking, on that sort of scale, you know. Joy Shadow Legend sponsorship. Thank you. I appreciate that. Can confirm as a streamer himself. Yeah. Very self-absorbed, obviously. What the hell is this?
For the purpose of this video, we're going to pretend that all of crypto isn't a scam, because I live in a world where 99% of it is. It's bad faith actors selling speculative assets, making value out of nothing, pretending it somehow has real world good, while actually hoping a greater fool comes along to buy it at a higher price at the bottom of the pyramid, so the people at the top of the pyramid can sell it and make money from them. That, to me, that doesn't seem like a good thing, but we're going to...
I'll say that, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I believe that there is a future in which crypto serves a very real utility, right? Where crypto actually is something of value. If you think about crypto, it represents the ultimate freedom in concept. The problem, of course, is that right now that freedom really applies to criminals and questionable people who could effectively do basically whatever they want and fuck people over as a result of it, especially NFTs. NFTs are the absolute worst. There are a lot of crypto coins that do actually work tirelessly to create value and to create actual technologies. You take ADA, for example, or Cardano. They work very hard in order to bring utility to the world. You take Ethereum, tries to do the same thing. The problem is that right now we live in this world where, since very few people understand crypto, everyone thinks that it's a get-rich-quick scheme, which is actually the thing that will destroy crypto, because it's not supposed to be a get-rich-quick scheme. It's supposed to be a unit of exchange. It's supposed to be, I want something, I want to buy it, but I don't want the government to be able to tell me what I can and can't buy, and therefore it's my money, I can do with it whatever the fuck I want. That's not where we live now. Most people buy crypto with the idea of getting rich.
Ignore that and not act like every single crypto is a scam, so we can talk about today's drama, which is about Logan Paul and, of course, his cryptocurrency that he made, CryptoZoo. He's the majority owner in it, and it was exposed a couple weeks ago by CoffeeZilla to be an alleged scam in a 3-part docuseries. Now, you can go check that out, but we are...
Why would anyone be surprised at this? Logan Paul. The Pauls. These people, they built their careers on being scumbags. Who's the one of the Paul brothers literally showed a corpse of a man that committed suicide because it was fucking content. Which one was that? It was one of the two Pauls. I don't remember which one. They're equally fucking scumbag. Was it Logan? Okay, there you go. So anyone here, like, look, here's the thing. If you bought into a crypto that Logan Paul made, you deserve to have your money lost. Like, that's on you. I'm sorry, I don't even feel bad. Like, good on Logan for actually catching you, because clearly you're a fucking moron. You don't deserve the money that you fucking have.
We are talking today about the update, which is Logan Paul's response to CoffeeZilla. Now, before we jump into the actual video, I think it's important to read this tweet from Logan Paul, which says, while I generally appreciate Steven, that's CoffeeZilla, they're close like that, and his creative genius and exceptional work ethic, I mean that, this one is simply not true. All right, wow, he really likes him. Creative genius and exceptional work ethic. Let's take a look at the video.
to morph from an investigator to a gossip channel. You see, CoffeeZilla tried to work with law enforcement in the past, but his work was described as not anchored to truth and often speculative. He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, and he's nothing more than the Keemstar of crypto and finance. But
Okay, wow, we went from creative genius to the Keemstar of crypto and finance.
Gonna be honest, the reason I immediately dislike it, I don't know if fucking Ludwig's gonna say this, but the reason I immediately dislike this video from Logan Paul is he opens it up with ad homs. Like he's literally just attacking the person making the he's not speaking towards the accusations. He's literally not providing evidence of why these accusations are untrue. He's providing evidence on the person who made the accusations, and if he can discredit the person who made the accusations, then he can discredit the accusations. That is usually the sign of someone that is being untruthful, right? Or I don't want to say lying because that might be a strong word, so we'll use the non-word and say untruthful, right? He's not being truthful at all. Why would you? If you have the actual receipts and you know that all of this is bullshit, you would just fucking say it, right? You'd just show the evidence, show that this isn't a scam, and easy does it. You only attack people. You only use ad hominem attacks if you don't have an actual piece of evidence to disprove the claims.
Finance, which, if you haven't picked up on yet, is an ad hominem attack, a logical fallacy, so that instead of arguing the actual points like, hey, Logan, I think the crypto you made is kind of a scam, he's able to say, no, the person who's arguing against me is a cringe idiot, so none of it matters, and I don't have to argue it, which happens a lot in this video and was wildly disappointing. Now, it is worth noting that this isn't Logan's first rodeo. He doesn't really bring it up in his video at all, but he's done a little bit of crypto scamming before, specifically with an NFT called Dink Doink that he was a part of, and I'm going to show you just 5 seconds of it, and I'm sorry that I'm going to show you, but watch.
On drugs, if you think.
Oh! You ready, Dink Doink? Let's do this! Incoming!
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I showed you any of that. Anyway, that's Dink Doink. Oh, it has all gone to shit. Right. Yeah, because it's a scam. Anyway, this is Logan Paul's second attempt. It's Crypto Zoo. But let's actually listen to Logan Paul's real arguments against CoffeeZilla. And the first one has to do with his argument against CoffeeZilla's reporting about the actual creator of the technology of Crypto Zoo.
Coffee, you interviewed the developer who stole the game code, fled to Switzerland, and held it hostage for $1 million. Well, his name is Zach Kelling. Surely, as the internet detective that you proclaim to be, you would know that he spent time in prison for multiple felonies, one for aggravated robbery, armed robbery at a liquor store, and the other for, surprise, obstructing the legal process. I can see why you kept him anonymous.
Well, wait, to be clear, you hired this guy to develop the app. Like, that was his job. He was developing the tech. So you're making fun of CoffeeZilla for not reporting that, but you hired the guy.
Guys, I'm sorry, but you guys think that I would rob a bank? No. Like, clearly. The guy who spoke, yeah, sure, he's like a world-renowned bank robber, right? And he says that I planned this whole bank robbery, but no. Like, take it from the source, man. Like, of course he would say anything. He's a fucking bank robber. Like, yeah, I don't know. Why did you hire a fucking criminal to write your code for your crypto? Like, surely there are non-criminals that could write that code, no? Like, I don't understand how that's an argument. Like, you're discrediting the very guy that you hired by saying, well, he's a criminal, of course he'd lie. Yeah, if you wanted to scam people, you would also hire a criminal to write the code there. Because an actual coder would immediately be like, wait, I don't feel comfortable writing this. You're literally going to scam people, no? Maybe a spam bank. I love that. Andy, how you doing, bro?
Also, what's wrong with hiring a felon? Sometimes they need jobs. It's a really difficult thing to get a job after being a felon.
Who we'll be calling Z here. I guess among many things, it doesn't surprise me that he lied about having 30 engineers and a $50,000 a week burn rate.
On my end, I have 30 engineers. I'm burning $50,000 a week.
Which, side note, is how this delusionist landed on the $1 million code ransom, but it turns out he only had 3 engineers. Wouldn't someone with journalistic integrity know their credible source had not only an agenda, but a fondness for orange jumpsuits?
So, okay, we're supposed to be mad at CoffeeZilla for not knowing that this developer was a scammer and a fraudster. But shouldn't we be mad at you, Logan, for hiring this fraudster and getting millions and millions of impressions?
I'll say, no, that's not even the biggest problem here. What does this have to do with proving that you're not running a scam? If you're not running a scam, show us the receipts. Surely that should be easy, right? Like, oh my God, Accolon, you're running a scam with your Twitch channel. We're all supporting you and subbing, but you know, you're not streaming. Okay. Well, I'll just go on my streaming, like literally on my analytics, and show you that I have been streaming for fucking multiple hours a month. Last month, I think we did 60 or 65 or almost 70 hours of streaming. So clearly, I could disprove it just by showing the receipts. That should be easy for all businesses, no? If you're running a scam, you wouldn't have the receipts. Why would you attack individual things that CoffeeZilla said? It would be easy to just go, well, here's the evidence that this is not a scam. Here is all your money that you paid into this, still in the fund. I haven't used any of it. It will go up, it will go down. This money will be used for more development. Here's the receipts of the developers that have hired to do more development on this. Here's the evidence of all the forks and stuff that we're going through. It should be fairly easy to show that this is not a fucking scam without having to attack the developer. Like, because all he's doing is he's trying to discredit all of the evidence that CoffeeZilla brought instead of just showing that, hey, this is not a scam.
On your new technology that was being developed by a fraudster, and the hundreds of people who watch your videos to invest in a project led by a fraudster? Like, okay, fine, we can say CoffeeZilla is a bad journalist if we are also allowed to say that Logan Paul is so inept that he hired a fraudster and scammed his viewers from ineptitude, which he does kind of address.
Or did you just hear what you wanted to hear and moved on? Because even if you're lying to yourself, Steven, you still have to
keep it going.
And I know what you're thinking. What type of idiot would work with an unsavory individual like Zach Kelling?
Yep, me. I'm wondering that.
I guess that's what I get for trusting the team that I relied on to vet and manage Eddie's hiring process, who has turned out to be a professional con man that I have since learned fooled billionaires, the Mormon Church, the owner of the New York Yankees, and now me.
Did you perhaps learn that Eddie Ibanez was a con man from a video made by CoffeeZilla where he went in depth on how Eddie Ibanez was a con man? I mean, this is weirdly damning evidence on how just incredibly inept Logan Paul was in developing CryptoZoo. Not only was the developer, he hired a fraudster, he also hired a con man known as Eddie Ibanez, and then he also hired another guy named the Crypto King, who's another fraudster. Where are the competent people on your team? When do you...
It's, okay, so I'll wager a guess here, and I might be wrong, so this is just allegedly. If you're going to build a fake coin, so if you're going to con people, you need con men on your side. You can't do it with legitimate people. So, if you went to a legitimate programmer and you asked him to write you the code for a cryptocurrency, it's not going to take the coder long to realize that the things that you're asking for is not above board. They're literally the ones writing the code, right? So you're going to start asking for things, the ability to do certain things with this coin, and the programmer is going to be like, wait, what? Why do you want to do this? Like, that's not how this is supposed to go. So a normal human being that isn't a fucking scumbag is not going to work with you if you have demands that they don't trust. But if you have demands that isn't above board, you're going to hire con men, people that have a history of being very fucking sus, because you know that they also just want to make a better bucks.
You take responsibility as the founder of the project and the person with the majority share in the product for the project failing. Like, you hired those guys. That's your fault. That's your job. Anyway, he keeps going.
And surely you knew Emilio, the gentleman who supposedly let his child invest in a cryptocurrency, was allegedly responsible for 2 rug pulls before you interviewed him. So either you missed that or you knew it and failed to let the public know.
Okay, now this has a little bit of substance, but of course, he's referring to one of the people that CoffeeZilla interviewed that were scammed by this project. He interviewed many other people as well. I mean, he interviewed this dude. He interviewed like 5-6 people, I think, were in the video total. And of course, that's just a classic example of the cherry picking fallacy, where you take one people in the 5 to 6 people that he actually interviewed who were scammed by Logan Paul's cryptocurrency, and shows that this guy's a scammer, so you don't have to worry about the other people that were scammed.
I do have to say, though, there is something poetic about scammers being scammed. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, but there is something oddly fun about that. Like, a guy that literally scammed people and rug pulled people getting scammed by a cryptocurrency meant to rug pull people. You can't make that up. That is just brilliant. That is just karma working in everyone's fucking favor.
There were other people that he scammed that he interviewed, but Logan Paul just doesn't bring those people up. What about those people, Logan? All right, this dude sucks. What about the other people? Doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll keep going.
The subject line was third request for comment.
Now, this is another thing. So his first 2 big things were, hey, the people on my team were fucking idiots. How did you not know they were even dumber than you thought? The second thing was, one of the guys you interviewed was actually a scammer. Let's ignore the other people that you interviewed that I scammed. And then the final thing, one of his other big points, is that he didn't request for comment. He should have reached out to Logan directly to request for comment. Let's just listen.
Yeah, not quite. This will be my 3rd time reaching out to you and your team. The first 2 times were through your manager, Jeff. The first 2 times were through your manager, Jeff. Okay, so the last time on Christmas Eve, after the fact, was to me. You have a funny way of twisting things. And I also noticed you left out that part on Twitter.
Okay, so his argument is that he never got reached out to comment, and that it's not enough that he reaches out to his manager, Jeff, because he is not Jeff. To which CoffeeZilla replied, oh, I also DM'd him on Instagram. Hey, Logan, I've been trying to reach people from the CryptoZoo team to get comment on the emerging story. To which Logan Paul actually replied. He replied and he said, if you expect me to see every DM that comes through from every social media gossip channel trying to make a name for themselves, you're ridiculous. Okay, that's fair. But if he does the effort of reaching out personally and then reaches out to your manager on multiple occasions,
but isn't
and then
your
when he
manager
finally has enough notoriety and reaches out,
isn't your manager supposed to pass this shit on to you
personally, and you still don't respond? At what point do you take responsibility? Like where along the line are you in charge for fuck-ups? When along the line are you responsible for your own actions? If you're reached out to, all right, via personal means like Instagram and via auxiliary means like your manager, at some point it's on you.
Actually, there is something else that I wanted to put out here. You don't have to reach out for comment. Just FYI. You don't actually have to. If there is a reasonable expectation that the story that you're working on, if it were to get out, it would give the criminals or whoever you're investigating a heads up to the point where they can pivot and change or just make things go away. You don't actually have to do it. Yes, you could technically get into trouble and they could technically sue you, but they're not going to get very far, especially if what they did is actually what they did. So I don't think you can actually make the point that you must reach out to me for comment. Why? You don't have to. Just went until it gets to the bit with the call with the manager. Oh shit, there's more?
I'm getting pissed off. Anyway, the CoffeeZilla also replies and he says, no, I don't expect you to see every DM, which is why I reached out to your manager explicitly and said I was trying to reach you because I hadn't gotten a response. Yeah, this, I don't know. This whole point was crazy to me. Anyway, he continues with his next point.
Wait, you can't even hatch?
No, I'm telling you, it's just a picture.
Now, I would argue this is the strongest point. In CoffeeZilla's video, he talks about how you can't actually hatch your eggs, which were basically purchasable NFTs in the CryptoZoo world. And Logan Paul goes on to say,
You can't hatch?
You're kidding. You can't hatch?
You can't hatch?
Yeah, 1 second of research would prove that to be false, as you can definitely hatch eggs and even breed your animals.
Click on that. Oh, we got a duck.
And as you pointed out in your fine print, cross-hatching was available on ETH at one point, but you perpetuated the opposite as truth with your chest out.
Basically, nothing worked.
And by the way, Guy, almost all NFTs are just pictures.
now I want to break apart that last comment right there.
Did he just out himself as a scammer? By the way, Guy, yes, I watched you selling pictures, but all NFTs are just pictures. Like, what the fuck? Like, bro, did you just, what the fuck? Like, congratulations, I guess. So basically, you knew that this was a scam heading into it, and you just went, fuck it, I'll just keep going. Like, Jesus.
There. By the way, Guy, almost all NFTs are just pictures. Well, then why on your podcast did you say this?
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there. Game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
No. It's an assortment of JPEGs that you can open up that are all stolen from different stock image websites. That's the reality. Maybe they didn't steal them, actually. I don't know. Maybe they actually bought the stock images. Regardless, it doesn't seem like the original promise that you were promising all of your viewers, that you could make money on a really fun game. In reality, you could open JPEGs on an absolute scam where all of your money would disappear because the developer would no longer develop the product, and Logan Paul wouldn't find a new developer, even though he's the majority.
Oh my God, can I? When you have all of this money, right? And this is literally something that I'm planning to do. If I ever got to the point where I even had like 1/10 of Logan Paul's money, I want to make a game. Not an NFT game, not a fucking crypto game, an actual game. Because I think it would be super fun being able to put together a game that is an RPG universe, a story, fucking great gameplay. I think it would be so cool to do something like that. Like, why would these people that already make enough money, like they already have enough money, why do you need to go for the easy fucking scamass cash? I don't understand this. Like, why? What's the fucking reason?
Majority owner and the creator of it. And let's take a look at Logan Paul's next statement.
You've still managed to overlook one crucial piece of information. See, even though I've said it's coming so many times, you've assumed that CryptoZoo isn't being made. Who are you to decide when the development timeline ends?
He's not. In fact, I think he's the guy who decided when development would begin. Because I have the feeling, and maybe you guys do too, that the only reason Logan Paul has attempted to rectify the people who were scammed by investing into CryptoZoo is because of all the backlash he received after CoffeeZilla made the 3-part docuseries. To me, it kind of felt like Dink Doink was an attempt at crypto, failed, and then CryptoZoo was an attempt, it failed, and then 99 Originals, success. Ding, 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 third time's the charm. Maybe enough time passes and people stop caring that they were scammed out of their money. It's only because CoffeeZilla made the video that you actually even went into the Discord. There was a year where he didn't go into the CryptoZoo Discord to tell them, like, hey, I'm going to make sure you guys actually get the value that you thought you were paying for. Instead, he just didn't do shit. He didn't do shit all. Now, I get not publicly talking about it to create more attention around a situation where there are a lot of bad faith actors, a lot of scammers, a lot of fraudsters that you ineptly hired. But why not tell the people during that year that that's the situation that you're in? If anything, CoffeeZilla did a lot of good. Now, the only thing that kind of scares me about this is if we look at the date, he went in here December 31st, and you'll notice that the price of CryptoZoo skyrocketed since then, which is insane. This is all speculation that the project will come back, and it tanked today because people thought he wasn't going to post because it took so long. He said he was going to reply on January 3rd. And then finally, when the video came out, Well, it looks like the market didn't love the video. They didn't hate it, they just didn't like it as much as they speculatively thought they would.
This is why crypto needs to die a very quick death. Because you have people that really should not be investing money that invest in things like this because they think that they're going to get rich quick. And that's fine. Like, look, making speculative bets isn't bad. I am currently in a very long hold on 2 stocks. The first stock is a company called Orion Minerals, right? Their current stock price is ridiculously low. It's a copper mine, right? They're effectively moving. No, fuck government, bro. A lot of this shit is because of the government. So it's not about government being a thing. It's about people being stupid and people needing to be punished for their stupidity. And the way you punish people for stupidity is by making stupid people lose everything. But the one is it's a copper mine. It's a company that is mining copper, and they're basically reopening one of the largest copper mines in South Africa, with new technology, new everything. So it's speculative because you don't know if they're ever going to get off the ground. But I have many of them, and the other one is a company called Renegrain, which they bought a piece of land for $1. Literally, the land was worth $1. They then discovered, through they speculated that there might be gas on this land. They bought the land for $1. They then discovered one of the largest LNG gas sort of, I don't know what you call it, deposits in South Africa. And then subsequently, they discovered, according to them at least, this is the largest liquid helium vein or deposit in the world. Like, based on their estimations and the research that they've done, this single deposit is larger than any other, the whole of the US's liquid helium combined. So I have stocks in those 2 companies because, well, if they start mining liquid helium, I'm rich, bitch.
And the only other thing to note is he, at the same time, threatens to sue CoffeeZilla, and then in the same breath also invites...
Andy, so they bought the land from a guy that was an incredible debt. So technically speaking, they obviously paid a lot more for it. The guy had a shit ton of debt. He wanted to get rid of the debt. They offered to buy the land and the debt. Now, obviously, whenever purchases like this go through, the debt is restructured in such a way that they can pay it back over a fucking long time. So it doesn't really matter. But they effectively acquired it for $1 because the guy that owned it needed to get rid of it as fucking quickly as possible. The point I was trying to make is there's nothing wrong with speculating, but both of these shares that I'm in is based on fundamental knowledge that seems to be legit, right? I've done my research. I've looked at both companies. I've looked at the backers of both companies, and I have a reasonable expectation that both of these companies are at least going to fucking try, okay? When you buy into something like CryptoZoo, there's no analysis that goes into this, because any form of analysis would tell you that you're dealing with a guy that literally has scammed people in the past. You're dealing with a guy that does not care about human decency, will do anything for clicks. Why would you trust that? Especially in a crypto market where people get scammed all the fucking time. Why would you trust that?
Him on his podcast. But here's my version of the truth. Here's what I actually think happened. This was Logan Paul's attempt at making a cryptocurrency. And originally, I thought this man was motivated by purely greed because we saw the text conversations that were leaked between him and Jake, the Crypto King, that went like this. We'll just pull it up right now.
Because Crypto King was acting very strange. He says, "We created $40 million out of thin air. This is a success." Logan replies, "This nonchalance worries me. F 40 million. It was at 120 million," which again, it's all about the money with these.
Now, I thought that was because of pure greed, but I'm now realizing that Logan Paul isn't a guy motivated by pure greed, because he could have sold what he had in CryptoZoo to make a bit of money, but he didn't, because I think he wanted a much larger amount of money, and there's no point in taking a public hit for making a little amount of money. I now realize he's just like the most narcissistic human I've ever seen online. He just truly thinks he's that guy. He thinks he can do anything he wants, like create $120 million out of nothing. And he also thinks if that fails and a bunch of people are scammed, he can also just do nothing because it's not his fault. It's not his responsibility.
How is this not illegal? Can someone explain this to me? How can you do something like this and not go to fucking jail?
Even though he created the coin and he's the majority shareholder and he's the only reason that anybody knew about the coin in the first place, he's just a total narcissist, which is rich to say coming from a streamer who hits go live every day and expects people to show up. And at one point in my life, I got sad when there were 15,000 people watching instead of 20,000. But it should also show you that even me, a guy who is narcissistic, knows when another guy is narcissistic. And the problem is not just being a narcissist, it's...
Mocha, 14 months, part of the most degenerate chat on Twitch. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it up, man. Listening to the reviews is dope, content brother. Hey, I like drama, bro. I live for this shit.
Being a narcissist, not taking accountability, and also using your narcissism to take on projects that you are too fucking dumb to actually do. I know where the line is. I know when I get too stupid, I would not attempt to create $120 million of value with a team of fraudsters so bad and so illegal they could get a Zack Snyder cut. But that's what Logan Paul did. And I'm just going to end it on something that kind of seals that story for me.
Logan replies, "Oh, Jake, trust me, bro. I am that guy."
Like that, come on. That's got to be a little, right? Isn't that like the most narcissistic message you can send it? Anyway, that's all. That's the update. I honestly was truly disappointed by this. I was kind of one of the people who were excited by Logan Paul's comeback, and I thought he was making really good content. But I think he doesn't know where his ambition ends and his abilities begin. And that's a tough pill for anyone to swallow. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. All right, see you later. Goodbye. Have a good one. See you later now.
See, but this is again where you have to sort of go, well, at least the stupid people are taking themselves out. Because if you're stupid enough to invest in anything Logan Paul does, you're a fucking moron. Like, look, I'm going to be straight up. If you are stupid enough to invest in any NFT or cryptocurrency that is run by a fucking streamer or a YouTuber, you are a moron. And you deserve to be poor. You deserve to have all your money fucked. What makes you think? Like, look, my job and the job of every streamer out there is to be an entertainer. That's it. My job is to go live and make you guys laugh, make you guys think, make you guys question and chat and all the rest of it, right? But I'm an entertainer first and foremost. That's it. That's where my job ends. What makes you think I have the ability, the technical know-how, or the further to make a cryptocurrency? Like, even if we said that 99% of cryptocurrencies is a scam, right? Which probably isn't true, but let's imagine that it is. They still require an incredible amount of know-how. They're businesses, right? And they require a lot of structure within it if you're going to do it right. Why would you think a YouTuber can fucking do that? A genuine question. What makes you think a YouTuber could do that? So it is sort of like the trash taking itself out. There will always be gullible people who believe shiters like Logan. What boggles me is how they got tens of thousands of dollars to invest in this shit in the first place. Well, this is where the government part comes in. when governments create bubbles, because all bubbles is a result of government. When government create bubbles, stupid people get more money than what they know what to do with it. Any share group actually tell you what to buy truthfully? It will affect their own profits. Dude, I don't know. I don't fucking know. It's just, yeah, it's annoying to me because I know there's people that's going to fall for this more and more and more. And I know that there's going to be streamers that's going to do this more and more often. Because why wouldn't they? It's easy cash. I again just come back to my original question. If you are already making bank, right? So I'm not even talking about you're able to live comfortably. You're making bank. Every single month, your take-home pay is probably something in the realm of 400,000 US dollars, if not more. Probably with someone like Logan Paul's size, he's most likely looking at almost $1 million+ a month that he's making off of donations, off of views, off of all that shit. Why would you fuck that up by doing scaly shit like crypto? Why? Do you need more money? Like, do you actually need more money? Why would you need more money? You were already making enough. Like, I get it. If you wanted to work harder because you want to get better, so you start another YouTube channel or you start another show or another podcast. You know, you're trying to make yourself better, and yes, that leads to you making more money, but the goal is to be better. This isn't a goal. Like, the guy's only goal here is to make as much money as quickly as possible. No matter what the risk, maybe. I think the Eldar are a good example of what happens. You just try and find shit that gives you some emotional feeling you enjoy. When money isn't a problem for you, then you have to find something to get your rocks off. Well, then fuck a goal in the ass, dude. If that's really what you, like, if you really need to feel alive, you know, half the goal, fuck you in the ass. You know, there's plenty of ways that you can do that. But why do you want to do something that can potentially end your career? Because that is exactly what can happen, right? That's the only reason why I generally will not break the law. It's not because I have some deep held belief that the law is sacred and I should. In fact, I don't. Most laws I think are completely ridiculous and shouldn't exist. I don't break them because I don't want to go to fucking jail. You know, it's as simple as that. I don't want to be in jail. That shit's going to be tough. You know, I like playing video games. I like waking up when the fuck I wake up. In jail, there's going to be a schedule. I'm not going to be able to play video games. That's going to fucking suck. So I wouldn't do it. Now, there are laws that I agree with, like stealing and murder and shit like that. I agree with those laws. I mean more the superficial laws that government makes to protect their rich friends. But even those I do not break because, well, you know, like insider trading is a good example. I will never do insider trading, even if I knew that I couldn't be caught, because you're never going to be 100% sure that you're not going to be caught. And the only reason I don't agree with insider trading is because, well, all of the other rich people do it already. All of our politicians fucking do it. The only people that isn't allowed to do it is you and me, the ordinary folk. We can't insider trade or trade inside, however the fuck you say that. Having to figure out just how fucking stupid most people are. I'm afraid that might be an endless quest. I don't think there is a limit to the stupidity of human beings, if I'm honest. Yeah, the Andrew Tate stuff that's going on, I'm not entirely sure what the fuck that's about. Conscience that causes the worry? They don't have one. But are we absolutely certain that every single one of these people is a sociopath or a psychopath? Metal Fan, we'll do that tomorrow. We kind of got lost in a bit of a rabbit hole with internet schemasis. So tomorrow first thing. Actually, tomorrow first thing we're going to do YouTube maintenance, but then right after that, we're on to Reddit reactions. But it's like, no, in this case, I mean ordinary. Like just the regular person. Like, you know, we here, just hanging out. So we should be more than ordinary, right? Or we're so ordinary that we're special. Because everyone thinks they're extraordinary. In a world where everyone is extraordinary, being ordinary is unique. Think about it. As I said ordinary, right? Yeah, you guys are fucking weird. All of you. I don't know, man. I get really fucking... Oh, shit. Wait, there's some good news here. Wait, chat. There's good news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Shot. I am solo today. Byron is not here. He lives in the Eastern Cape, so New Year's...
The ANC really wants to kill Eskom. Okay, so Eskom is the company that creates all of my fucking misery in life, by the way. For those of you that don't know. All load shedding is as a fucking result of these people. It's only 5 minutes, but I want to see what this guy knows that I don't.
Eve celebrations must have caught up with him. I don't know what they do in the Eastern Cape around New Year's. Maybe like steal sheep and brew and drink a lot of pineapple beer. I don't know. I don't live in the Eastern Cape. He does, but not to worry. He'll be back tomorrow. But on to the news. And the only news you need to really worry about today is the fact that the ANC truly hate Eskom. I don't think there's any other word to describe the relationship between Eskom and the ANC. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Eskom applied for a license to buy diesel wholesale from overseas suppliers. And the Department of Mineral and Resources, otherwise known as DMRE, and that's what I'll be using for the length of this video, and the department said, in terms of the license, Eskom requirements were not met, so therefore they can't give the license to Eskom. And basically what Eskom wanted was to import diesel at wholesale prices, which saves itself roughly 3 billion rand a year in diesel costs. But with the import license, there are strict requirements like storage facilities and import infrastructure. And according to the department, Eskom does not have any of those things, so therefore they can't give the license to them. But the department did say, Eskom, you know, there are alternatives. You can just buy wholesale diesel, like locally, right here in South Africa. But I think the department doesn't really understand what's going on here. Eskom wants to buy imported diesel directly from manufacturers overseas so that there is no tainting of the patronage network on diesel supply to Eskom. It is really that simple. Because
Yeah, but this doesn't mean that the ANC wants to kill Eskom. The ANC is protecting their own interests. If Eskom buys from local suppliers, then Eskom has to go through the mafia that is controlled by the government. This is why the government will never allow for this. Now, to be fair, Eskom wanting to import their own diesel is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. These guys can't even run a single power station. How the fuck are they going to run a diesel import business? So that right there is it's a good job that they declined that. But the reason they declined them is because they don't want to lose out on potential revenue. Because believe it or not, my government is involved in every step of the fucking way. Why someone does a thing like Logan did is irrelevant. It's a deeper moral compass issue. Why did he... why he did it, we can entertain speculation, but we're never going to know. The thing is, he is a fucked up basic human interaction, wrong human being. He considered it a good idea. He decided to do it. I don't even think it's, I don't even think I disagree with you. It might just be that he really just doesn't give a shit.
Face it, if Eskom had to buy diesel locally, which I think it does at the moment, it's tainted with corruption. There's no other way to say it. They're all ANC cadres. They all inflate the prices, or they sell perhaps low-quality diesel, just like they do sell low-quality coal to Eskom. So I think the suggestion by the department to just buy local wholesale diesel is not quite feasible for Eskom, because we know that that wholesale diesel will probably be as expensive as it currently is at the moment. So if Eskom manages to import diesel by itself, it would save around 6 Rand per litre of diesel, from 23 Rand a litre down to about 16 Rand a litre. But the department also had a response to that, saying, and I quote, that the department would like to indicate that the 6 Rand difference is mainly made up of taxes that the department has no control over. And the weirdest thing about the story is that for every litre of diesel Eskom actually buys, they have to pay the taxes like the fuel levy and the road accident levy. I mean, this is absolutely remarkable. You have Eskom, which is dying.
It is ridiculous to me. Like, okay, so Eskom is controlled by the government, right? So the government owns Eskom. Taxes gets paid to the government so that the government can pay Eskom. But then Eskom needs to pay taxes for the government for fuel to run the country's electricity network. But then the taxes that Eskom pays is just given back to Eskom? What the fuck is this logic? Like, where does this logic come from?
And dead and load shedding stage 6 and all the rest of it, wanting to buy diesel to not have load shedding, and still Eskom is required to pay the road accident fund levy and the fuel levy and all these other taxes accruing to diesel. And the government's like, yeah, there's no other options for you. You have to pay those taxes. It's really absurd. I mean, let us not forget, Eskom has blown close to 15 billion rand on diesel last year alone. And for every litre of diesel being used, 6 rands go to the government. And not only does Eskom have to pay those taxes to the government, which is itself the owner of Eskom. Remember back in the day, in 2020, Eskom had to cancel a 50 billion rand oil contract because the contract was selling diesel and oil at a highly inflated price. And let us not forget that that particular oil contract, which was cancelled, which was worth 15 billion, as I mentioned, those people who owned that contract gave lots of money back to the ANC in terms of kickbacks for having that contract in the first place.
Yeah.
We have created a brand new insurance brokerage called, funny enough, Morning Shot Insurance Brokers. So if you're interested in saving money on insurance, number one, but most importantly, having a Zoom with me and my wonderful face, why not send me your insurance schedule to ramon@morningshot.co.za? Let's chat. Maybe we can help each other save money and deliver superior service, because that's what we're all about here at Morning Shot. So on the one hand, Eskom needs diesel to avoid the worst excesses of load shedding. On the other hand, for every litre of diesel used, Eskom spends 6 rand in tax, which is ridiculous.
Thanks for
and
the follow, man.
thirdly,
Really
if there is a
appreciate
local
that.
diesel manufacturer or supplier or oil manufacturer or supplier, it gives an inflated cost to Eskom and then rewards the ANC with kickbacks for having that particular contract in the first place.
Dude,
and
my
on top of
fucking
all of that,
head
the
hurts.
department says, sorry, no alternatives for you, Eskom. You have to pay the taxes and you have to use local diesel.
The funny thing, the funniest shit, right, is Eskom is closing coal plants, like coal electricity plants, yeah, at an alarming rate, like just retiring them because they're going green and shit. But then, in order to make up for the lost capacity for the coal plants, they decide to run diesel turbines, like open gas turbines and open diesel turbines, in order to make up for the lost capacity in electricity. Take a guess. Which one of the two technologies is more harmful to the environment? Diesel or coal? It's diesel by a mile. Coal is a hell of a lot greener than diesel. So, what the fuck? Like, you want to go green? All right, cool. But before we go green, let's really fuck the planet. Like, guys, we're going to go green in maybe 2 decades. But before we get there, let's really pump the greenhouse gases, you know? Like, we really want to make a difference here. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I don't even agree with the whole let's go green bullshit, because I think they're going the wrong way around. I don't mind green. I don't mind solar. I don't mind wind. I do mind the fact that they don't seem to have a fucking clue of how to do it. But just their entire modus operandi makes no sense.
Manufacturers to fuel your power stations. So Eskom has been destroyed for a variety of reasons, but this video will encapsulate.
Time Batten, wait, who's killing the planet? I don't know if how are we literally killing the planet, though?
Encapsulate all of them. Number one, all the white talent has gone thanks to BEE. Number two, all the contracts are completely corrupt. And then the
which gases are you talking about, Time Batten? So you're talking about CO2. Yeah, CO2 does not destroy the planet. CO2 is incredibly valuable to the planet. They are incredibly valuable to the planet. When the forests of the earth evolved, the CO2 count in the air, like in the atmosphere, was double what it is today. Right? Plants eat CO2. That's what they use, right? It's their food. So yeah, us producing more carbon just means more plants because there's more food. We're definitely not killing the planet. You may make the argument we're killing ourselves because it's going to become more and more difficult for us to survive because temperatures will go up. But heat tends to be something we don't really struggle with. Cold is a real problem. Heat, not so much. So the argument that we're killing the planet by releasing CO2 into the atmosphere, that's definitely wrong. Like, not even like a little wrong. That's like super wrong. You could, there's CO2 is not harmful. The planet produces its own. We are actually at the minute where we are now. The Earth is at a low point in terms of the amount of CO2 that is in the atmosphere. It's actually at a low point. So the chances are like it could go much, much higher before we would even get anywhere close to historical highs. Same price comes from concrete and ash fainting the world, not gases. We still have nuclear gases still going in the sky. Wait, what? Nuclear gases? What? Nuclear doesn't make gas, though. Yeah, but wait, nuclear doesn't make gas. No, I'm genuinely trying to understand. Look, guys, Time Bandit may not be proficient in English, maybe just describing it badly, so don't make fun of it. Like, maybe we are missing something that could actually be true and that no one's thinking about. So instead of making fun or poking fun, take it seriously. Because the thing is, like, I know for a fact nuclear doesn't make gas. The thing you see coming out of the chimneys of nuclear power plants is steam. It's when the water boils in order to turn the turbines. It's not, yeah, it's not a gas. Well, it is a gas, but it will turn into water later. So that's kind of fine. You know, that's just gonna help a lot. So that I wouldn't say is a problem, but it might be that you're talking not about nuclear gas, but more about nuclear waste. Is that maybe what you're talking about? Nuclear waste?
Alternatives are completely banned. And then number 3, for those who actually do get the contracts locally.
All right, so nuclear waste is the biggest non-issue in the world. Almost all nuclear power plants store all nuclear waste right on the power plant. It takes up almost no space whatsoever. We're incredibly good at storing nuclear waste in such a way that it literally doesn't affect anyone. So nuclear waste, definitely the least of our problems with the nuclear waste.
Send money back to the ANC in form of kickbacks. And meanwhile, the rest of us, here on the southern tip of Africa, have to deal with stage 6 load shedding every other day, so the ANC can get taxes from Eskom, and most importantly, get kickbacks from the people supplying it with oil and diesel. So not only does the ANC hate Eskom, it particularly hates you, citizen of South Africa. It is fine with you dying because you don't have electricity. It is fine with hospitals overflowing with sewage and filth because there's no power. As long as the ANC gets its little kickback, as long as the ANC gets its taxes from Eskom, the rest of you can...
I don't know, fuck it. This guy's not saying anything that I care about anymore. The thing that's going to save humanity, so when you get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation around climate, it actually becomes much less settled than what most people claim it to be. But that's not the debate that I want to get into. The thing that is going to save humanity is innovation. It's becoming better at dealing with climate crises. And we have gotten much better. So, if you guys were to take a guess, in 1940, I believe, I think it was 1940. In 1940, the average death toll of human beings due to climate-related accidents, right? So accidents that were directly related to the climate, was 3 million, right? 3 million people a year died of climate-related accidents. How many people a year do you think die now due to the climate? Like just last year. How many people do you think died last year due to the climate? $7,000. 7,000. Climate-related disasters have not increased. They're basically the same. If you look at all the data, there's no increase in climate-related disasters. What has increased is the damages related to climate disasters. Why? Because human beings are fucking stupid. You have a place in the US that is literally called Tornado Alley. It's called Tornado Alley because there's, surprise, surprise, a lot of fucking tornadoes there. And yet, people still build there. You have places in the US that are constantly, they know without fail, gonna be hit by cyclones and things of that nature. And yet, people keep fucking building there. So the reason, and more people are building there. So the reason the damages are going up isn't because the storms are increasing. It's because there's more things for the storms to fucking destroy. This is where technology comes in, and this is where our ability to adapt to the environment comes in. We have to adapt to our environment. When you live in when you have a place called Tornado Alley, maybe don't fucking build there, right? Maybe don't be there. If you're going to build houses in places that is constantly hit by cyclones and the like, build them in such a way that they don't get fucked by the cyclones, or just don't build there, you know? Move somewhere else where you don't have things in a place that can get fucked easily. That's the problem, but no one seems to think about it because everyone just runs rampant with it. But then Time Bandit to sort of just put this into perspective. Here is in the year 2012, so this is after all of the big meltdowns and stuff that had happened. Here is the rate of deaths by energy source, right? So these are the amount of people that die due to the various different types of energy sources. Coal, oil, natural gas, hydro, rooftop solar, wind, nuclear. Nuclear is the lowest of all of them, right? Because even though Chernobyl happened, and Chernobyl happened because you had a government that, instead of caring about the safety operations, they decided to flex. That's why Chernobyl happened. The Russians were trying to do things with Chernobyl that a nuclear power plant isn't supposed to do. The tests that they were trying to run on Chernobyl, Chernobyl wasn't designed to do that. And yet they were trying to do it because they wanted to flex. They wanted to be the ones to say, we can do it. Our power stations can do that. it was entirely avoidable. It didn't have to happen, but it happened nonetheless because, well, you had a government that wanted to flex rather than just stick to the fucking packet. Like, look, the packet said, don't stick your finger into the packet. You stuck your finger into the packet. It got cut off. It was going to happen because you were doing something that the fucking label said don't do. There may as well have been a big sign saying, don't fucking do this. And they did the thing that the big sign said, don't fucking do. Don't press the right button. And then you press the right button and you wonder why the fuck things are getting hard now. But even with that, I think 12 people died, right? As a result of 23 people died as a result of Chernobyl. Is there long-term effects, like some people that have cancers and stuff that they're doing? Of course there is, right? And it is a human disaster, but a lot of people are afraid of nuclear when really they shouldn't be. There is no cleaner source of energy in the world than nuclear. Like, none. Zero. It is by far the cleanest source of energy we have. Because unlike with all of these others, because here's the thing, coal, yeah, it's an incredible pollutant. Incredible pollutant. Oil, same thing. It pollutes, it fucks up. Even if you don't care about greenhouse gases and CO2, it doesn't even matter. Think about every single year, almost every single year, we have an oil spill. The amount of animals that die as a fucking result of the oil spills that we deal with, right? That right there should tell you we don't fucking want this. We should try and move away from it as much as possible, right? Natural gas, while not as bad as coal and oil, and we have definitely gotten better at figuring out how to make it more green, still not great. Hydro, absolutely clean. With some it's very difficult to utilize. Not every country can run hydro. And of the countries that can run hydro, it can have massive effects on the environment. But in terms of clean, at least it is very clean. Rooftop solar and wind, here's the problem. The materials needed, specifically in rooftop solar, terrible. Lithium pollutes. I think, actually, in order to make the batteries that is required for a single Tesla, right? So one battery for a single Tesla, you could drive a Hummer for a year with diesel in order to cover just the waste of the lithium for a single Tesla battery, right? Just for a single Tesla. So lithium is incredibly wasteful, and also it's a massive pollutant, all right? It uses a fuck ton of water, which is not even included in that, but you need a crap ton of water that's wasted. That water is gone. It's polluted. You can't fucking use it again. We're coming up with technologies. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we shouldn't do this shit. We should absolutely do this shit because we are getting better at it. We're finding newer and better ways of dealing with lithium mining, using less water in order to get the lithium out, polluting less in order to get the lithium out. We should absolutely keep going because why wouldn't we? It's a way for us to get energy from the fucking sun that rains energy down on us every single day. Why would we let that go to waste? I mean, it's fucking stupid, right? Why would you not want to use that? The same with wind. Wind turbines use certain ingredients that do pollute quite a lot. The other problem with rooftop solar is we cannot recycle it. The materials that go into solar panels is non-recyclable. They are highly, highly toxic. So you can't just throw them into a landfill somewhere. You basically have to just keep them because they can't be recycled. We can't do anything with them. They're just forever a wasteful product and they don't last forever. Nuclear is the only one that we have, right? Where the mining process of nuclear, very fucking simple. The availability of nuclear or fissionable materials is fucking endless, right? It's endless. There's so much of it, we would probably never run out of it. Considering the fact that in terms of the nuclear technology we have now, we don't even use all of the fissionable capabilities of a single nuclear rod. There's probably a way for us to get even more out of that, and it's called phase 2 and phase 3 nuclear. which they're working on in order to get the remaining energy. Because after they've used a nuclear rod, 80% of the energy that is in that rod is still unused. We only use about 20% of the energy in a single nuclear rod, and then we have to discard it because the remaining 80% is too unstable. Our current understanding of nuclear doesn't allow us to extract the rest of it. So, I mean, all of that waste isn't really waste. It's energy that we just haven't figured out yet how to tap. So we could probably turn that into, like, the goal of nuclear. I was watching this entire documentary on it. Where they want to be with nuclear, and they believe that they can get to it, is a place where once they're done with a nuclear rod, you could touch it with your bare hands and it would do nothing to you. They have effectively extracted all of the energy from it. Literally every bit of it. Everything it has to give. So that rod comes out just being, like, normal, right? It's just a normal thing. That's where they're hoping to get. That's what they're working on, right? They may be. I know Bill Gates is investing heavily in phase 2 nuclear. So it might be that they've already figured out how to do it, but it would still be, like, I don't know if there's any reactors yet that do that, but it might actually be possible, theoretically at least. Nuclear, the waste isn't a problem. It has zero effect on the environment, and in terms of the actual energy that it can provide, it outscales all other sources. If you put coal, oil, natural gas, hydro, rooftop, and wind together, right, and you took the entire land that it takes up in order to build these massive stations, and you match that with a nuclear power plant, nuclear would probably outperform it by 10, maybe 100 times the amount of energy that nuclear can produce, that all of the other sources of energy combined wouldn't even be able to produce. Nuclear also throughout the universe, you're not finding coal and oil on Mars. Who says? Like, you don't know, bro. Like, you don't know the history of Mars. There may have been dinosaurs there once. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's a possibility. Maybe they have coal on Mars just lying there. Like, you don't even have to dig for it. It just comes out of the ground. Like, it just fucking boils up. Like, it might be. Like, have we even tried this? Like, just take a large pole and stick it into Mars. Next thing you know, there's literally oil just leaking out of Mars. Maybe it's filled with fucking oil, right? Fusion, not fission? Fusion is a whole different story, right? No, fusion is the thing we do now. Fission isn't, like, we're trying to do fission. They kind of made a breakthrough with fission. But fusion we do now. Or am I getting that mixed up again? Other way around. Fusion we don't do. Fission is what we do now. Yes, you're correct. Yes. Fusion is by pushing them in together and trying to build a sun. Sorry. Yeah. Fusion breakthrough a few weeks ago. Yeah. But the breakthrough was like fucking... I mean, it was massive in terms of nuclear technology, right? But if you really look at the breakthrough, it was like minute, right? Because they managed to, I think... They managed to break through... Was it 0.5%? I think it was like 0.5%. So in other words, if they put in 100 energy... they managed to get out like 100.5. So it was kind of like, I mean, it's a massive jump, because I believe the last breakthrough we had was from China, and they managed to do 70%. So basically, they put in 100 and they managed to get 70. Well, they managed to lose only 30, right? So if you think about that, we made a massive breakthrough there. We made up everything. So we're finally at a point where we've reached equilibrium, which most people, by the way, said would never be possible. we didn't even think, like 2 decades ago, they didn't even think it was possible to reach equilibrium, where you would be able to produce the exact same amount of energy than what you put into it. The thing now becomes, we have to figure out how to produce more energy than what we actually put into it. And that's where things are going to be fucking tough, I think. That might take us a while. That's why Trump wanted the Space Force. The US got to get those oil claims first. True. True. The US government wouldn't want a space military if there wasn't oil and coal in space. We all know this, right? If you take any American politician, you can show them porn, you can show them naked ladies or naked men, you could even wank them off, they would remain limp. But if you show them a picture of coal or oil, right? So just a picture with a little bit of coal there or like oil, dude, they get hard as fucking rocks, bro. Like, true story. This is what Mitch McConnell uses to get off in the evening. He takes his wife and he just puts it on her face, like a picture of oil barrels. Just on her face there, just looking at her. Oh, baby, you're so fucking hot. God, can't believe this. Like, that's just how it goes. They actually tried to attack the picture. True. Thorium fission is a big thing that needs work too, so we can depend less on uranium. Thorium is the big one, right? If we can figure that out, because the thing is, while uranium is great because it's fairly easy, it also goes into weapons, which is fairly bad. Whereas thorium could go into weapons, but they're far less reliable as weapons, and effectively just it would be like there's no point in trying to build a thorium nuclear weapon. Just, yeah, they don't actually work that way. Of precious metals in space, just waiting for the US to take? Isn't there like a planet where it literally rains diamonds? I'm pretty sure one of, is it one of Saturn's moons? I think the rain itself is diamonds or some shit like that. I'm pretty fucking sure. Like, the air pressure, the pressure on that planet is so heavy that by the time there's like a specific thing that, I can't remember what the gases are, but the gases effectively get compressed into fucking diamonds as they drop. Do you think De Beers is sort of maybe working on a spaceship? No, but it's carbon and something else, Smith. That's why I said I can't remember what gas it is, because it's carbon and something else. And this gets, like, fucking smashed, and it forms these massive diamonds that just rain from the fucking sky as a result of it. But I can't remember what the other one is. I sort of assumed everyone knew that carbon was at least one part of it, but I can't remember the other one. Yeah, but Myth, this specific planet, it's... what the fuck is the moon called, bro? I don't think it's Titan. But this specific planet, its air has, like, its atmosphere is it's made up of carbon and something else. So you have this, like, let's say, very precious shit that rains down from the sky. So it's diamonds that rain down, but the diamonds don't just, it's not like just our diamonds. At least that's what I heard. I could be wrong, but, like, I think, who shared this with me? It was like an excerpt from, like, someone showed me an excerpt on WhatsApp. Sent me this excerpt of an article that spoke about this. So it's not, it's like a metal that we use or a gas that we use, something like that. Diamond rain phenomena is believed by some scientists to take place on Uranus and Neptune in our solar system. Yeah, but what is it deprived of? Or what does it consist of? Hydrogen, that's the one. Yes. Yes, thank you. That's the one. That's the one. Wait, but hydrogen is something we want as well, no? I'm pretty sure. Like, which one is it that we desperately need? I know helium is the most abundant resource in the universe, but also happens to be not that abundant on Earth. Right? I think that's helium. Is it hydrogen? Helium is also very abundant, though. Pretty sure. Pretty sure it is. Could be wrong, though. I'm not an expert on this shit. So just to be clear, as you guys could have told. Could probably have surmised. I'm not an expert on this. I just like watching shit about it, but usually with half an ear. Because most of it, chemistry was never a strong suit for me. I fucking hated chemistry. No, I know what water consists of. What I wasn't sure of is which one of the two it was. Was it helium or hydrogen? That's the most common one, but not that common on Earth. So we have like a... we need it desperately here on Earth, but we don't have it in great supply here on Earth. So we kind of need to, like, use it sparingly, if that makes sense. In Japan, scientists are trying to mass produce a new form of hydrogen to supply cars. How far along are they? Because if we could figure out how to make it ourselves, so kind of like a synthetic version of it, wouldn't that solve like a shit ton of problems? I'm assuming it would. Yeah, that basically takes care of all of our fucking hydrogen problems, right? Okay, but how many of you know anything about hydrogen cars? Yeah, well, the problem with magnetic cars, yeah, you would need to change all of your roads, and that could be a massive fucking problem, right? Like, why would people work on hydrogen cars if we already have a shortage of it, though? Not a massive problem if you are German. Of course. I'm just sort of, like, this is not something I know almost anything about, right? I've read about it quite a lot, I guess. Like, in passing, I've read about it. Size and energy ratio is really good. Good as working with gasoline engines. Wait, would it work with gasoline engines? How? How the fuck would hydrogen work with gasoline engines? Stuck to other things like oxygen here on Earth? Yeah, separating it would probably be the bigger issue. Helium-3, it's said to be something to use in fusion. Because you can make it into a liquid type material, then when you burn with oxygen like you would gas, it just makes water. So if I could get my hands, it's fucking, it wouldn't work with a combustible engine as stands, right? So if you took your car now and you filled it up with liquid helium or hydrogen, it wouldn't run, but with a little bit of modification, it would work, correct? Toyota are developing hydrogen-based cars because the electric cars are not sustainable. Porsche has cars using an alternative fuel that we will not need to ditch the internal combustion engines. I'm definitely not... I'm in favor of all of this. I don't know enough about it to be against it, but I'm just generally in favor of human advancement. That's the only thing I give a shit about, is human advancement, in whatever form it comes in. Is advancement dangerous? Yes. Will we sometimes advance into areas that we shouldn't go into? Of course we will. We're human. We're almost always going to use anything for war first and, you know, ask the other questions fucking later. But human advancement at any cost is still better than fucking stagnation. Yes or no, it would work, but the problem is you have to make the hydrogen in usable form. You transform base hydrogen into something like deuterium, which is a stable isotope, so you can transport it without it turning into water or something. You know what we should do? We should just build an engine that runs on water. Easy. Someone should really get working on that. That would solve so many fucking problems. Creates water vapor. Yeah, imagine that. Right? You build a car that just runs on water. Yeah? But here's the cool thing. It then turns into steam. Yeah? That then goes back into the tank that turns into water. So basically you have a car that never fucking runs out. Big brain ideas, bros. I'm gonna patent that. That's my idea. You guys know this now. If someone comes up with this idea, they stole it from this stream. And I want at least some fucking recognition for it. Then back into water, hydrogen cars are basically that, just without the first step. Quick start, a crypto to fund this. Pretty much, right? All right, guys, I'm gonna get a coin. We're gonna call it the water car coin. If you guys can just buy that, make me rich, and then I'll get to I'll find some people that can start working on that ASAP. It's a transfer medium for energy, but not as a source. I have an article on what Porsche is doing. Where should I submit it? Just link it here, bro. Or me link it straight here. I want to see this shit. Yeah, I heard the con engineers is based for this kind of stuff, no? Like, they're really the guys that you want to get for it. They're really well positioned to make the best of this. Alright, let's quickly see here. Niara, how you doing? Porsche e-fuels pilot plant in Chile opens. Synthetic fuels are perhaps the holy grail of petrolheads, a glimmer of hope that low-carbon e-fuels could postpone the abandonment of the combustion engine. And this pipe dream has taken a step towards reality this week. Just get it a bit bigger here for you guys. Pipe dream has taken this week with the opening of Porsche's new e-fuels factory in Chile. That's Porsche's procurement boss, Barbara Frankel, and R&D chief Michael Steiner, filling up a Porsche 911 with synthetic fuel produced at the Haru Oni pilot plant in Ponta Arenas. The potential of e-fuels is huge, said Steiner. There are currently more than 1.3 billion vehicles with combustion engines worldwide. Many of these will be on the roads for decades to come, and e-fuels offers the owners of existing cars a nearly carbon-neutral alternative. Nearly carbon neutral? What the fuck does that mean? Synthetic e-fuel, nearly CO2 neutral petrol. Porsche describes this wonder fuel thus: e-fuels made from water and carbon dioxide using wind energy enable the nearly CO2 neutral operation of petrol engines. I might not know much, but I'm like kind of sure that's weird. Like, how is this helpful? Wouldn't it be cheaper just to figure out how to get more mileage out of a normal car so it can kind of get to a neutral position? Aren't there already cars that is incredibly close to neutral anyway? Like, I'm pretty sure there's a shit ton of combustible vehicles out there already that is very close to carbon neutral. Stuttgart has a 12.5% stake in HIF Global, the group behind the Chilean factory, with a capacity of 130,000 liters a year in this pilot phase. However, once full production is reached, Porsche expects to be producing 55 million liters annually by mid-decade and 550 million liters by 2027. So I don't expect to be filling up with synthetic fuel just yet. For now, it's bound to Porsche's Mobile One Super Cup race series and for the pumps at Porsche's experience centers. Porsche e-fuels the background. Some of the fuel called e-fuel by Porsche is created by splitting water into oxygen and green hydrogen and combining CO2 with the green hydrogen to produce synthetic methanol, which is then converted into e-fuel, which can be used in regular combustion engines. See, it uses water, which is another problem that I feel like everyone is now focusing on CO2, which I've already explained to you guys. CO2 is plant food. There's nothing wrong with it. Plants kind of fucking like this stuff. And we're historically at a low point in terms of CO2 production. Water, on the other hand, is a massive fucking problem worldwide. The vast majority of countries in the world are actually water-scarce countries. They don't have enough of it. So, why are we using technologies that use more water when in reality that, I would argue, is a much, much more precious resource than limiting CO2. The problem with using seawater is you will immediately lose your CO2 neutral thing. Because extracting the salt from seawater requires an immense amount of energy, which will have to come from somewhere. Now, unless they're going to build nuclear power plants to power the desalinating plants, to get the water so that they can make the water, that's a big problem. Aish, the problem is that I'm not sure if they could... They're probably going to need some kind of fresh water here, right? Like me, the water is a problem. Well, yeah, so... If you think through the whole thing, I don't know, maybe they can use dirty fucking water, right? Maybe they can use water that's been like everywhere else and it will still break down just perfectly, but that's usually in science not how this shit works. Like, if you get dirty water, it's not just gonna break down into oxygen and hydrogen, right? Because now it's gonna break down into oxygen, hydrogen, and a bunch of other shit that's also in the water. This could really fuck up your e-fuel. Right? So they're probably definitely going to need clean water, or at least what we would consider to be close to drinkable water in order to do this. And that puts us right back into the, okay, let's desalinate the ocean. But in order to desalinate the ocean, we're going to need a fuck ton of energy, something that wind farms and solar farms will not provide, not reasonably stable. So you're going to need either coal-fired power plants in order to actually do this, or nuclear power plants in order to run the desalination facilities to get you the water to actually make the e-fuel. Either way, trouble, right? Long time. Long time. If it's coal, it's 8 to 10 years. If it's nuclear, you're talking 15 to 20 years before they can be operational. Yeah. So we actually have to figure out how to use some of that gray water, I think, more optimally. But then again, dude, humans need to figure... We need to figure so many things out. Because I think I speak for almost everyone. Whether you're a climate denier, climate change denier, which is the stupidest shit ever, you could deny the catastrophe of it. But if you're going to say that you don't think climate change is real... The climate changes all the time. It's literally in its nature to change. So, yeah, anyone that believes that climate change isn't real is just not paying attention. But whether you deny the climate catastrophe or agree with it and believe that, oh my God, we're fucked, we should all change our minds, I think the one thing that everyone can agree with, right? Every single human being, is that it would be better if humanity could get to a point of equilibrium where the amount that we take away, we also put back in, right? And so we're not using more than what we're actually getting out, so to speak, right? Or what we're actually putting in. I think that's where everyone wants to be. And for that to happen, companies need to start innovating again, which is so often not what we see. In climate change, it is man-made climate change. Yeah, there's arguments around that too, but I don't want to get into that. We invented too much technology to ever be able to do that? What do you mean we invented too much technology to ever be able to do that? It's not like the path to doing that is more technology, not less. If you're talking about, like, we used to do that 1,000 years ago. No. 1,000 years ago, we were extracting far less from the environment, which is not where we want to be. We want to be extracting from the environment. We just want to be able to give back as much as we extract. That's where we want to be. I did say a point of equilibrium. So we put back as much as we take out. That's where we want to be. What we do not want to be back 1,000 years ago, because if you, like, for anyone that's sort of yearning for 1,000 years ago, also remember that 1,000 years ago, by the age of 40, you were like fucking super old, right? You were basically on your fucking deathbed at that point. The smallest disease would kill you. A cold would probably be the end of your fucking life. A scrape on your knee would mean sepsis and you're fucked, right? So there's a lot of bad things that happened 1,000 years ago that we don't even deal with these days. And all of it comes from our ability to extract energy from our environment. All of it. Without the ability to extract energy from our environment, none of this is possible. None of it. So we don't want to not extract energy. We just want to input. Our input and our output needs to be equal. Better yet, if we could put twice as much back in as what we're taking out, right? That would be good as well. But that does not mean limit what you're taking out. It just means putting more in than what you're taking out. Don't keep growing veg. You put back in using a fertilizer, compost, so that you can keep growing veg. Pretty much, Abaddon. Yeah. Pretty much. It would be nice. This is why I want to live forever, so I can see this shit actually taking place. Because I do think we are eventually going to get there, right? Engine penicillin. For that to happen, though, Acco, we need way less population and way more tech. But it's like, okay, you've just said something that's completely mutually exclusive. Less people, less innovation, less tech. More people, more innovation, more tech. Always. It will not happen without, one will not happen without the other. This is just guaranteed. All the science, every single finding shows this. More people, more innovation, more tech. You cannot have less people, more innovation, more tech. Doesn't work that way. So what you're asking for is a scientific impossibility. It's got nothing to do, like, look, the whole myth around the population of the Earth is too large has been debunked by so many scientists. I don't know why people believe this. As things stand right now, literally as things stand right now, with no technological advancement made whatsoever, the Earth can sustain up to 13 billion people. With just the food that we produce right now, it can comfortably sustain 13 billion people living on it. That is excluding any technological advancements that we will make in the next decade, 2 decades, 100 decades, right? That's just looking at right now as things stand. And we're not even utilizing the technologies that we already have, like vertical farming, for example, which is a technology that we've had for a really long time. We just have most farmers don't switch over to it because the input costs would be too high. But if need be, farmers will start to switch over to it, and that will increase our ability to feed our planet by fucking leagues and yards more than what we are right now. This myth that the population needs to be limited is just that. It's a myth. The population is fine, and it's going to keep growing, and that's great, because more people offers us more opportunity for geniuses, offers us more breakthroughs, more innovation, and more technology. Fewer people means fewer geniuses, fewer people that can actually innovate, and fewer innovations leads to fewer technologies. That's just how it is. Humanity didn't take as long as we took to get a computer because, you know, we just weren't ready yet. It's just there wasn't enough people on the planet to actually come up with a computer. Simple as that. We can track this. As populations have increased, our rate of technological breakthroughs have increased, right? I mean, the two are heavily correlated. The androids dreaming of electric sheep. I'm not going to be here forever. Let's get better things. What? You don't want to be here forever? Why? Need to live behind city walls, but it is still in our DNA. If there was less people, then we wouldn't have cars and planes. True. Look, necessity is the mother of all invention. I believe that no matter what gets thrown at us as human beings, I believe that no matter what our future looks like, no matter how dark things may get, no matter what hits us, I believe human beings as a species will survive it. Why? Because we've survived everything else so far. We will innovate. We will find ways to deal with no matter, like, whatever comes, we will find ways to deal with it. I feel sorry, especially for young people that have bought into this doomer scenario where they believe that the world is going to end miserably and we're all going to die miserable, horrible deaths. When in reality, when has that ever been true for humans? Faced with absolutely miserable odds, humans find a fucking way. They find a way. We've always done, right? We'll do it again. We'll do it all the time because that's just who we fucking are as a species. I wish I could talk to young people sometimes, just tell them, look, just enjoy your fucking life. Go out, have a drink, have some sex, stop worrying. The Earth's not ending tomorrow. Despite what AOC says, it's not going to be 12 years and then it's all gone. Calm down, right? Calm down. AOC just wants you to vote for her. She doesn't actually believe the bullshit she's saying. Just go out and touch some grass, you know? Dark Ages didn't end us. Nothing ends. Nothing's gonna end us except if it's a world-ending event. So if we were struck by a meteor double the size of Earth, sure, that's good game. Thanks for playing. Like maybe some of us will survive, like in Cadia's sense, but that's not gonna, like, you'll survive long enough to see the planet get fucked, right? That's basically it, and then you'll die. But short of that. Short of something that we can absolutely not control, I don't think we have to worry about anything. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go get food. I want to go relax. Because it's almost evening time, and my power's going out this evening again. Which means I'm on a fucking timer, which is nice, but also not nice. You guys know the drill. I will be back tomorrow, same time as today. I promise tomorrow. Well, I make these promises every single fucking time, and then we get into this heavy shit. Maybe tomorrow will not be as heavy as today. Like, that's what I can promise you guys that, right? Like, maybe tomorrow's not gonna. Like, maybe tomorrow we're just gonna talk about video games and have some fucking fun, right? Another thing, less people, no Acco, no stream. True. Fucking true. Like, we need more people on Earth. We need at least 10 times the amount of people on Earth than what we have now. Because how many viewers do we have now? We have 83. It would be nice if we could have 830 viewers. So if we have 10 times the population, we might get there. Because let's be fair, I'm not convincing all of the other fucks to get you, right? But okay, so I'll be back tomorrow. We'll react to some stuff. We've got an entire Reddit to get through. There's so much shit on Reddit that I haven't reacted to yet. We'll probably play some WoW as well tomorrow. Just because I have a shit ton of dailies and stuff that we didn't do today. So I have to do that tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow with a YouTube maintenance session where I'll quickly make a YouTube video and thumbnail. Then we'll probably play some League, like 1 or 2 matches in League, and then we'll jump into WoW and some Reddit reactions and stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for spending your morning, your afternoon, your evening with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. Be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam.